You don't always know you're carrying something until life asks you to set it down. Letting go sounds so gentle, so spiritual. But in practice, it's one of the hardest things we ever do. Because we don't just let go of people or plans. We let go of identities, of illusions, of stories we've wrapped around our hearts like armor. We hold on because we think we must. To stay safe, to stay seen, to stay in control. But what if control was never the goal? What if the real peace begins the moment we stop clutching so tightly? There's an invisible weight many of us carry. We hold on to people who've long stopped holding us. We hold on to versions of ourselves that no longer feel like home. We grip futures we haven't lived and pasts that won't let us rest. And we wonder why we feel so heavy. This book isn't a manual. It won't give you steps to master letting go. Because letting go can't be mastered. It's not a moment. It's not a trick. It's not a single act of bravery. Letting go is a practice. A shedding. A remembering. A return. You don't let go once. You let go in layers. Over and over again. Sometimes without even realizing it. Sometimes with tears. Sometimes with a deep, quiet sigh. And sometimes by simply saying, I'm done carrying this. This book is a mirror for your soul. A companion for the places where you're still holding on. Not to shame you, not to rush you, but to sit beside you and whisper, you can put it down now. Not because it wasn't real. Not because it didn't matter. But because you matter more. Written and published by Mindful Literary, this work was created as an offering. Not to instruct, but to awaken. Not to demand, but to gently remind you, you are allowed to release what no longer fits. You are allowed to stop carrying what was never yours to hold. This is where your journey begins. And it begins with the beautiful, terrifying, liberating act of letting go. Introduction: the quiet burden we carry. Why letting go is one of the hardest and most necessary human experiences. Exploring the paradox of attachment, where love intertwines with suffering, is like navigating through a deep forest where paths of joy and pain intertwine. Love binds us. It creates connections that feel almost sacred, nourishing our souls in countless ways. Yet with this beautiful bond often comes a hidden burden, a weight of expectations and fears. The moments we cherish can simultaneously hold us captive, making it daunting to consider the act of releasing. Observing ourselves and others, we recognize that attachment, while comforting, can turn into a source of distress. It's a dance of clinging and craving, often masked by the warmth of affection. As I ponder over the times I held on too tightly, I see how those very moments of attachment, when examined closely, sometimes cultivated suffering rather than solace. This realization unravels the complexity of human emotions, reminding me that love, while profound, can become entangled in pain if not allowed the freedom to ebb and flow. Understanding that release is the first step toward true freedom and growth requires us to confront our deepest fears, the fear of loss, of emptiness. Yet, in this acknowledging lies the promise of liberation. When we begin to let go, we create space for new possibilities, just as the autumn leaves must fall to nourish the earth for spring's bloom. This process of release is less about forgetting and more about honoring the moments that shape us. Each letting go is an invitation to breathe deeper, to open our hearts wide enough to embrace the next chapter of our journey. I've come to realize that every time I loosen my grip, I am not losing. Rather, I am gaining clarity and strength. In this act of unbinding myself from the past, I take a brave step toward transformation, evolving as a person willing to face the unknown with an open spirit. Embracing the complexity of letting go may seem daunting, yet it is in this practice that magic unfolds. Holding on to resentment or regret weighs heavy on one's heart, while releasing those burdens frees us to dance with life's rhythm. I have learned that the stories we tell ourselves about loss can be rewritten. The sadness of letting go can coexist with the joy of new beginnings. Resilience blooms from this fertile ground, teaching us that every ending is a prelude to an unexpected beginning. To foster this growth, consider setting aside a few moments each day to reflect on what you might need to release. It could be an outdated belief, a toxic relationship, or simply the remnants of a past that no longer serves you. By gently acknowledging these attachments and intentionally letting them go, you invite an exhilarating wave of freedom into your life, revealing pathways you never knew existed. The invisible weight of holding on to people, identities, outcomes. The silent burdens in our lives often drift like shadows, unnoticed yet pressing down on our souls. We carry them daily, wrapped tightly around our beings. Memories of relationships strained by misunderstandings, identities forged in the fires of others' expectations, and outcomes tethered to dreams that sometimes slip through our fingers. Each thread of these invisible weights pulls at us, a constant hum in our hearts, reminding us of what we believe we must hold on to. They whisper in moments of quiet, during solitary drives, or just before sleep, conjuring feelings of guilt, fear, or longing. These are the burdens we seldom speak of, the ones that shape our reality without leaving a mark on the outside. Their presence, however, can be immensely felt. They define our interactions, paint our reactions, and sometimes cage our potentials, balancing on the fine line between attachment and suffocation. This book isn't a manual. It's a mirror. Every journey we take is as unique as the fingerprints we leave behind. There are moments in our lives that shape us, imprinting themselves on our souls like the quiet ripples on a still lake. When I reflect on my own path, I see the winding trails, the serene detours, and the jagged cliffs that taught me the most profound lessons. It's vital to pause and recognize these experiences, to engage with them deeply. Each story whispered in the corners of our hearts offers insight into who we are. Taking time for reflection invites acknowledgement of our fears, triumphs, and the small, intimate moments that define our existence. The beauty of our adventures lies in their uniqueness, reminding us that while we might share similar struggles, the way we navigate through them is singularly ours. In searching for truths that resonate with us, we must be courageous enough to step away from the safe scripts handed to us. There's often a comforting sense of familiarity in someone else's path, but the heart knows what is authentic. Consider the dreams that stir your spirit. They may not always align with conventional wisdom or societal expectations. Instead of following prescribed steps to success or happiness, we should light our own compass, guided by instinct and authenticity. It's about finding those whispers of self that echo within, reminding us that it's okay to forge ahead in ways that might seem unorthodox or risky. As we peel back layers of expectation, we can discover who we genuinely are, liberated from the confines of comparison. Ultimately, this is an invitation to be gentle with yourself in your exploration. Allow the mirror to reflect your own truths, and honor the journey that is yours alone. Take time to listen deeply to your inner voice. Write down your thoughts, draw your emotions, or simply sit in silence with them. These practices can nurture the connection to your authentic self, bringing clarity and understanding so you can embrace the truth of your own unique path. You don't let go once. You let go in layers. Letting go is not a singular event. It is a gentle act of shedding, like the way a snake sheds its skin. Each layer we release serves to unveil the essence beneath, revealing the parts of ourselves that have long been hidden in the shadows. I often find myself reflecting on moments where I clung tightly to familiar weight, a job that no longer served me, a relationship that felt more like chains than companionship. In those times, the act of letting go felt monumental, but it was only in retrospect that I recognized it as merely one layer of a more complex, beautiful process. With each deliberate release, I became lighter, more attuned to the rhythm of my soul. Unconfined, I could explore the vast expanse of my being, daring to face the vulnerabilities that once felt insurmountable. To navigate this journey of layered release, begin by acknowledging the parts of your life that feel heavy and encumbered. Allow yourself the grace to feel the discomfort of letting go, recognizing it as a crucial step toward enlightenment. Write about it, meditate, or simply breathe into those spaces of tension. Trust that as each layer falls, it carries with it not just loss, but the promise of rediscovery. Chapter 1. When Holding On Becomes a Habit. The comfort of the known, even when it hurts. There is a strange comfort in the familiarity of our pain, a warm, enveloping blanket that can feel deceptively soothing. We cling to the known, even when it cuts painfully against our skin. In those moments where hurt becomes routine, we somehow convince ourselves that it is a safety net, a space where we can predict the contours of our suffering. It's as if the devil we know holds us tighter than the potential liberation of uncharted territory. The ache of heartbreak, the weight of loss, even the dull drone of unfulfilling routines, these elements scab over, forming protective layers that shield us from the rawness of risk and the unpredictable essence of hope. When confronted with an unyielding cycle of pain, we often find ourselves pondering the bitter question: why change what has become, albeit imperfectly, habitual? Yet, standing at the threshold of transformation, I have felt the tremor of courage course through my veins. Embracing the unfamiliar requires a leap of faith, a yes to all that has yet to unfold. It is awakening to a world where the horizon shimmers with possibility, but also with uncertainty. That first step into the unknown is often fueled by the flicker of something greater, a longing for a life unmarked by the scars of familiarity. It is not merely about leaving behind the pain. It is about venturing into the light, where joy and discovery await. I remember the trembling joy in my heart the first time I chose adventure over security, even though fear tugged at my sleeve. In that moment, I understood that liberation often lies on the other side of our most profound discomfort. Embracing this uncertainty shows me that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a powerful form of strength. Choosing to dance with the unknown is the first act in rewriting the narrative of our lives. When the call for change arises, remember that every step into the unfamiliar is a step toward freedom. Embrace that discomfort as a sign that growth is on the horizon. Start by changing one small thing in your day: a route you take, a new activity you try, or even a conversation you initiate. Each small change can unravel the tightly wound strings of familiarity and expose the exquisite potential that lies beyond. Control disguised as commitment. I have often found myself entangled in the web of control, where my longing for stability and security slips into a disguise of loyalty and dedication. At the heart of this desire lies a fundamental truth. We seek to manage our environments, relationships, and even the emotions of those we care about. It's a warm cloak we wrap around ourselves, convincing us that our intentions are noble. I tell myself it's commitment, a bond forged in trust, yet in the quiet stillness of self-reflection, I can hear the faint whispers of possessiveness lurking beneath. Sometimes, in our effort to hold on tightly, we smother the very things we wish to nurture, masking control as care. It's a subtle dance. We are drawn to the illusion that by overseeing every detail, we are showing love, yet what often unfurls is a stifling embrace that stunts growth and authenticity. The journey of understanding relationships becomes a tightrope act, a balancing act between nurturing and constricting. In my own life, I have seen how the lines blur. When does support shift into control? When does affection veer into anxiety? There is beauty in allowing others to breathe, to explore their own paths unburdened by the weight of my expectations. These moments of liberation are breathtaking, revealing the true essence of relationships, an organic dance that thrives on freedom. I have learned that genuine connection flourishes not through ownership, but through mutual respect and shared vulnerabilities. This process invites us to let go of our rigid definitions of commitment, allowing space for individual growth and exploration, affirming that our journeys can run parallel, not necessarily intertwined. Reflecting on my attachments reminds me that love, true love, is a gentle release rather than a fierce grip. It finds its strength in trust, patience, and understanding, rather than control. I have embraced the truth that commitment is not the absence of freedom, but rather a celebration of it. Practicality whispers that I must allow my loved ones the leeway to soar, knowing that their flight might lead them away from me, yet trusting that our bonds can still remain strong. Perhaps the most liberating insight I have gathered is that love becomes richer not when we try to tether those we care about, but when we stand back and watch them bloom. Recognizing this is a gift to myself and to those I hold dear. When we embrace this philosophy, we unlock the door to genuine connection and vibrant relationships. Why we cling to what's no longer meant for us. Emotional attachments can be like threads, intricate and delicate, binding us to people, places, and memories long after they have served their purpose. It is a haunting experience, clinging to remnants of a past that was once vibrant, yet now feels like a faded photograph. These attachments linger, often whispering sweet nothings that mask their true nature. The heart has its reasons, yet sometimes these reasons become the very chains that hold us back. We look upon old love letters, laugh at shared inside jokes that no longer elicit joy, and find comfort in the spaces they occupied, even if it means we inhabit a void. The weight of nostalgia can feel like a warm blanket, but eventually, we must ask ourselves if it's warmth or suffocation. In moments of reflection, we realize that some relationships or phases are not always forever. They were chapters meant to be closed, lessons meant to be learned. Yet here we are, desperately attempting to rewrite them instead of honoring their natural conclusion. Recognizing the beauty in change is akin to witnessing a sunrise after a long night. It presents us with a choice: remain in the shadows of what was, or step into the light of what could be. The allure of the familiar is powerful, and the fear of the unknown can be paralyzing. Yet, when we accept that change is an integral part of life, we begin to unveil new possibilities. There is a certain liberation in understanding that every ending births a beginning. When we allow ourselves to let go, we open doors to transform our lives in ways we never imagined. Each change carries a shimmering thread of hope, waiting to weave itself into the fabric of our new reality. A life not stifled by past anchors invites fresh experiences, friendships, and opportunities, fostering growth and deeper connections. The moment we release the grip on what no longer serves us, we set ourselves free, permitting the universe to surprise us with the exquisite wonders it holds. Ultimately, the key lies in embracing the transition. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It means honoring the past while creating space for the present and future. When feelings of attachment cloud our judgment, we can practice gratitude for what we have learned, rather than mourning what we have lost. This can be a gentle reminder to cherish our journey, recognizing that life is not a straight path, but a series of winding roads, each turn unveiling something new. Take a moment to pause and reflect on what clings to you. Acknowledge it, then gently release it. In doing so, you invite the beauty of transition into your heart, making room for the magic that awaits us all. What makes it so hard to release the familiar? Investigating the psychological barriers that make letting go a daunting task reveals the intricate dance of our emotions and thoughts. It's challenging to part ways with the things that have shaped us, whether they manifest as relationships, routines, or painful memories. This resistance is often rooted in fear, a deep-seated anxiety that whispers, "What if?" The fear of the unknown can paralyze us, holding us captive to the familiar like a warm blanket on a cold night, no matter how tattered it becomes. We cling to what is comfortable, even when it no longer serves our growth. The ghost of past experiences, familiar and haunting, often wraps around our hearts, making stepping into the unknown feel like leaping off a precipice without a safety net. In many ways, we confuse familiarity with security, often overlooking the possibility that true safety lies in the leap itself. Embracing vulnerability becomes a subtle yet powerful pathway to healing and personal growth. It is in the moment of surrender, when we open our hearts and allow ourselves to feel deeply, that we discover new dimensions of strength. Vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it is the birthplace of courage. When we shed our armor, confronting our fears and insecurities, we begin to form genuine connections with ourselves and others. It is in this raw space that real transformation occurs. Allowing ourselves to be seen, to share our stories, and to walk alongside others in shared struggle fosters a sense of belonging. In such moments, we learn to navigate our discomfort and find solace in our shared humanity. By accepting our vulnerability, we not only release ourselves from the chains of the familiar, but also open the door to a more authentic and liberated existence. Recognizing the burdens we carry can lead us to valuable insights that prompt change. Consider carving out moments in your day for quiet reflection or journaling your thoughts and feelings. Sometimes, simply acknowledging our fears can lessen their hold on us. Take small steps towards what feels uncomfortable, and remember that real growth often lies just beyond that unease. Embrace this journey of letting go, for it is both daunting and profoundly beautiful, inviting us to discover who we are beneath the layers of what was once familiar. Chapter 2: The Stories That Keep Us Stuck. Narratives we tell ourselves about the past. The stories we tell ourselves about our past have an extraordinary power over our identity. Each tale, woven from strands of memory and emotion, becomes a thread in the tapestry of who we are. It shapes our beliefs, influences our choices, and often confines our potential. I find myself reflecting on moments that felt pivotal, where a single decision or experience morphed into a narrative of failure or success, love or loss. These narratives can become prisons, confining the expansive nature of our spirit into narrow expectations. I often recall a time in my life shaped by stories of inadequacy, the whispers of disappointment echoing in my mind. Each replayed memory etched deeper lines of doubt into my very essence. Yet amidst this, I realize how pivotal it is to question these stories and recognize their hold on us. They present not just a history, but a limiting lens through which we view the world and ourselves. We have the power to reauthor these narratives, to sift through the layers of meaning we've attached to our experiences. The process of rewriting begins with the understanding that we are not merely bystanders in our own stories. We are the authors, the architects of our potential. I remember a time when I dared to rewrite a personal chapter. It took courage to confront those memories that haunted me, to notice the patterns of limitation woven into my daily life. Engaging in this reauthoring felt like freeing a bird from a cage. It was liberating and filled with the electric energy of possibility. By embracing new interpretations of past events, I learned to illuminate the tribulations not as marks of failure, but as stepping stones toward growth. This empowering act of reauthoring initiates a transformation that doesn't erase the past, but reshapes its significance, gifting us the agency to redefine our paths moving forward. If only and what if loops. Each day, I find myself ensnared in the tangled web of if only and what if. Regret hangs heavy like a cloak I cannot shed, whispering echoes of chances not taken, paths not followed. I look back in search of answers that elude me, and I wear the weight of my choices like a penance. There's an undeniable pull to the past, where decisions morph into oppressive ghosts, haunting my thoughts. The if only traps me in a vision of a brighter tomorrow based on yesterday's would-have-beens. The shimmering light of potential feels distant, obscured by the fog of hindsight. I often wonder how my life would have shaped had I taken different turns, but these musings wear me down, paralyzing the present with the burden of past regrets. Yet, in the quiet moments, I realize that to live fully, I must step away from this mental loop. I need to breathe in the now, allowing this moment to be the canvas upon which my life truly unfolds. The present is full of possibility, a palette of colors waiting for my brush to dance across each day. In embracing the present, I can craft meaning and purpose. There is a joyous liberation in accepting that each day offers fresh starts, unencumbered by ghosts of decisions made or imagined futures. It's in the gentle nods to my present self that I find peace. Here, I can celebrate small victories and invite abundance into my life without fear or restraint. To untangle myself from those looping thoughts, I remind myself that every moment is a chance, a tender invitation to experience life as it aspires to be. Pruning the if only and what if from my thoughts opens space for gratitude. I take a deeper breath, grounding myself, and I realize my power lies not in the past, but in this very instant. The canvas is mine to adorn. By anchoring in the present, celebrating it as it is, I can transform my existence into a vivid tapestry, alive with the strokes of passion and purpose that I decide to paint. Embracing the now allows me to step forward with courage and clarity, shaping my tomorrow into something extraordinary. Romanticizing pain as proof of meaning. Suffering has often been glorified as a profound part of the human experience, a badge worn with pride. We search for the narrative that pain shapes wisdom, that scar tissue magically transforms into pearls of insight. It feels almost sacred to wear our wounds openly, like trophies reminding us of battles fought and survived. I have leaned into this idea. There have been moments when the weight of my heartache felt heavier than gold. Yet, in that heaviness, I often mistook anguish for depth, believing that my suffering somehow rendered me more profound or deserving of empathy. The conversations I have had, draped in a shroud of shared sorrow, led to a silent but powerful camaraderie, as if our pain forged invisible bonds between us. We turned experiences of agony into tales of valor, forgetting that perhaps the truth lies in acknowledging our pain without letting it define us. Understanding is not solely birthed from hardship. True meaning emerges in the fertile ground of growth and love, allowing us to bloom despite our scars. It is in the laughter shared over a warm cup of tea, the spontaneous adventure that ignites joy, or the simple acts of kindness that I find a deeper essence of existence. Love, in all its forms, wraps around us like a cocoon, lifting us higher than pain ever could. My heart has healed not just because I weathered the storms, but because I discovered the rainbow that followed. Each moment of connection, from the fleeting encounters to the lasting bonds, showed me that growth transcends suffering. I learned to celebrate every small victory, every act of courage, recognizing that they define the contours of my life far more than my struggles ever will. In navigating this world, we can choose to honor our journeys without romanticizing our pain. A useful insight is to reframe our narratives. Rather than seeing pain as proof of our existence, let us view love and growth as the truest testament to our humanity. As we acknowledge the moments that uplift us, we create a tapestry woven with experiences of joy and connection, allowing us to embrace life fully. Let our stories not be solely about the darkness we have faced, but also about the light we have invited in and nurtured within ourselves and each other. The myth of closure. We live in a world that holds closure close to its heart, weaving it into the very fabric of how we perceive endings and healing. It whispers to us in moments of loss, move on, find peace, close the chapter. Yet, as I navigate through my own experiences, I have come to understand that this notion of closure is often a myth, a shimmering illusion that can lead us astray. The weight of societal expectations can be suffocating, pushing us to conform to the idea that a clean break, an explicit end, is necessary for us to heal. Instead, I have discovered that healing is much more like a river, endlessly flowing, twisting, and meandering through valleys and peaks. Each bend brings new reflections, new depths, and requires us to embrace uncertainty rather than seek definitive solutions. Allowing ourselves to press against these expectations can be liberating. It teaches us that grief, love, joy, and sorrow can coexist, layering our experiences without the need for tidy resolutions. In challenging this myth, we unearth the power and importance of the ongoing journey of acceptance. To confront the societal insistence on closure means to acknowledge our feelings, to sit with them, and to let them flow like the tide, sometimes high, sometimes low, but never completely absent. Healing blooms in the spaces between endings and beginnings, urging us to trust the process of our own becoming. Embracing the beauty of ongoing processes invites a softer understanding of our experiences. There is a profound solace in recognizing that life doesn't always present us with neat conclusions. Instead, we find ourselves in a constant dance of acceptance, where memories linger and the echoes of our past swell with poignancy. Each moment carries the potential for growth and understanding, even amidst the chaos of unresolved feelings. I have learned that it is perfectly okay to be in a state of flux, to acknowledge that I may not have all the answers. This acceptance opens up a space for me to explore my emotions, to know fully that it is not about reaching a finish line, but rather about savoring the journey, however winding it may be. The liberating truth is that we can find movement even within uncertainty, nurturing our souls as we release the pressure to arrive at conclusions. My heart has blossomed through this understanding, learning to find peace in ambiguity, to dance in the rain even when the skies seem gray. Embracing the ongoing dance of life means welcoming change with open arms, navigating through joy and sorrow together. We can redefine closure as an ongoing relationship with our experiences, where healing isn't a destination, but rather an evolving landscape that invites us to grow, to love, and to keep moving forward while honoring where we have been. To foster this mindset in our own lives, we might practice gentle reflections, a daily moment of stillness to check in with our hearts. Meditate on your feelings, and allow yourself to acknowledge the beauty of simply being currently. This allows acceptance to flourish, inviting our true selves to shine through. Chapter 3: Identity and the Illusion of Permanence. How we become what we hold on to. Attachments are the threads that weave through the fabric of our lives. Each one, a delicate stitch that connects us to our past, to our experiences, and to the identities we adopt. They shimmer like fireflies in the dim light of our consciousness, illuminating fragments of who we are. I often find myself pondering the significance of these attachments. Are they anchors that moor us to safety, or chains that bind us to fear? The people we love, the things we cherish, even the dreams we hold, these become reflections of our sense of self. I am shaped by the stories I carry, the memories I revisit, and the relationships that flavor my existence. The laughter shared, the heartaches endured, each moment crystallized in the recesses of my soul. Yet, as I delve deeper, I realize that the weight of these attachments can also obscure my true essence. Do I know who I am without my labels, without the bonds that tether me to the past? I ponder if my identity is an accumulation of all I have held, or if beneath it all, there lies a core, untouched by what I possess or what I've experienced. There is a quiet bravery in letting go, a gentle unraveling that beckons us to peel back the layers of our conditioned selves. Shedding attachments can feel like stepping into the cold embrace of a winter dawn, an awakening that feels both liberating and terrifying. I once clung to titles, to possessions, and to the expectations others had of me, and it suffocated my spirit. Realizing that I could breathe more freely without the weight of those things felt like discovering wings I never knew I had. By releasing the hold of my attachments, I began to listen to an authentic voice that resonated within me. This voice spoke truths that rang clearer than any echo of what society wished me to be. I learned that self-expression blossomed in the cracks created by these releases, allowing my true colors to emerge. Authenticity does not reside in clinging. Rather, it breathes life into the openness I create by letting go. In this dance of release, I began to find who I am beneath the layers of identity, free to chase dreams that resonate with the rhythm of my heart. To walk the path of transformation, I realized one must hold close the understanding that letting go does not mean losing. It means creating space for the new, for the evolution of self. Embracing this journey involves cultivating a gentle awareness of what truly deserves my energy and attention. It calls for a courageous exploration into the depths of my soul, where I can discern between what enriches my being and what merely weighs it down. As I navigate through this landscape, I remember that in every release, there is an invitation to redefine my relationship with myself. By choosing to let go of what no longer serves me, I can forge a new existence built on authenticity and love. Aim to discover which attachments bring you joy and which are merely shadows. When I allow myself the grace to release those unnecessary burdens, I step closer to a life that feels true to me. Notice now, what do you hold on to, and what would you be willing to gently release? Letting go is ego death. Understanding the profound transformation that occurs when we surrender our ego often takes time and deep reflection. It's in those quiet moments when we realize that our identity, built on layers of beliefs and attachments, can be both a fortress and a prison. As I reflect on my own journey, the process feels akin to shedding a second skin, one that has protected but also confined me. When I allowed the walls of my ego to dissolve, a rush of liberation seeped into my being. Loss, as it turns out, became an unexpected fountain of wisdom. In the quiet aftermath, I discovered parts of myself long hidden beneath the noise of self-importance. The beauty of letting go became evident. It was not about embracing weakness, but rather acknowledging the strength that resides in vulnerability. Embracing vulnerability as a source of strength and growth shifts our perspective entirely. When I let go of the facade I had desperately clung to, I felt an exquisite lightness replace my burdens. The fear of judgment began to fade, revealing an authenticity that was both unsettling and exhilarating. Vulnerability is the soil from which resilience grows. It is in our raw honesty that connections deepen, allowing empathy to flourish. I learned that to be vulnerable is to embrace our humanity, which unites us in our shared experiences of joy, pain, and hope. It became clear that by allowing ourselves to be seen, flaws and all, we invite others to step into the light with us, creating a tapestry of shared existence that celebrates imperfections. Letting go of ego doesn't mean losing oneself. It is, in truth, a grand reclaiming of who we are at our very core, stripped down to the essence of our being. Transformations bloom in the space where ego no longer reigns, and in that openness, new paths to growth unfold before us. Take a moment to breathe and invite yourself to explore those areas of life where your ego may still grasp tightly. Allow yourself the grace to let go, even if just a little. In doing so, you may uncover the profound beauty that lies in the depths of vulnerability, where connections flourish and the authentic self can finally emerge. Why people fear change more than suffering. Change dances on the edge of our comfort, a stranger offering a new path while the familiar shadows of suffering loom nearby, tempting us with their twisted comfort. I often feel a shiver when I think of the unknown, its vast expanse stretching before me like an uncharted sea. It whispers secrets of what could be, yet my heart hesitates, gripped by an echoing fear that roots me to the ground. The agony of the familiar wraps around me like a warm blanket, even if it stings, even if it suffocates. We cling to our struggles, often convinced that what we know, however painful, is safer than what we might become if we leap into the void of change. The suffering we endure becomes a refuge. In its constant presence, we can predict the next twist of torment. It is a place of certainty amidst the chaos of life, and there, in that twisted familiarity, we find a strange comfort that keeps us shackled. Yet, within the heart of every change lies the seed of liberation, a whispering invitation to embrace the beautiful chaos that roots us in our humanity. The moment I release the need to control every facet of my path, I find freedom blooming where fear once choked my spirit. Change teaches me that life is not a linear timeline, but a series of bursts, beautiful, messy, unpredictable bursts of color and light. Acceptance becomes my strongest ally, and with it, I discover the thrill of stepping into a new dawn. When I invite change into my life, I invite growth. I offer my spirit the chance to stretch, to reach for the stars that were once overshadowed by the clouds of fear. I learn that the unknown, while daunting, is filled with possibilities waiting to be grasped with open hands. Embracing what is yet to come allows me to redefine my relationship with suffering. Instead of being a haunting specter, I can see it as a teacher guiding me toward a deeper understanding of myself and the world. In these moments of reflection, I carry with me the reminder that every breath I take is an opportunity to embrace change. Today, I can choose to step lightly into the unknown, to honor the fear, yet not let it dictate my journey. Every single moment brings the potential for transformation. I find solace in knowing that change is as essential to life as the air I breathe, a liberating force that holds the promise of renewal. So here, in this swirling dance between fear and freedom, I choose to move forward, inviting change as my companion on this magnificent journey of life. Releasing the self-image that no longer serves us. There are whispers within, echoes of a past self that often go unnoticed, like shadows creeping into the light. In moments of stillness, I find myself reflecting on the stories I have told about who I am, stories effortlessly woven from threads of fear and doubt. Each time I faced a challenge, there was that familiar voice, urging me back to the safety of the known, a sanctuary built upon self-limiting beliefs. It has taken time for me to see that these beliefs, though they once felt protective, are now heavy cloaks that weigh down my growth. They are the remnants of an outdated self-image that no longer reflects the vibrant colors of my true essence. As I delve deeper into my soul's landscapes, I come face to face with the barriers I have constructed over years. Fear of failure, unworthiness, and a need for approval. Each negative thought was a petal from a withering flower, suffocating the bloom that desperately wanted to thrive. I recall those moments of hesitation, like a bird that dares not leave its cage, convinced that the outside world is too daunting. In this recognition lies the first step toward liberation. Accepting that I have clung to a self-image that does not serve me is both painful and liberating, a journey through the wounds I carry. As I peel back the layers, I uncover the truths that have always been there, waiting patiently to be acknowledged. In this newfound awareness, I feel a stirring, a call to cultivate space for visions that resonate with my true potential. With each exhale, I release the beliefs that no longer belong, creating fertile ground for seeds of possibility to be sown. There is beauty in imagining who I could be, unshackled from the chains of limiting labels. My heart opens like a blossoming flower, embracing the warmth of self-acceptance, planting in its center the idea that I am enough, just as I am. As I nurture this space, I find joy in exploration, allowing new self-concepts to unfold. I start to resonate with affirmations that reflect the reality I aspire to create. I am strong, I am capable, I am deserving of joy and success. I practice envisioning not just what I can achieve, but who I can become, an artist of my life, painting my path with vibrant strokes of authenticity and grace. This freedom from the past empowers me to dance with possibility, to embrace challenges as opportunities for growth rather than threats to my identity. I realize I have the power to redefine myself, adopting identities that inspire and uplift. To nourish this shift, I commit to moments of reflection, carving out time each day to visualize my ideal self, to feel the essence of that person pulsating within me. In journaling and meditation, I breathe life into this vision, manifesting it into my daily actions. Allowing my self-image to evolve can be daunting, yet it liberates me to expand beyond the confines of my past. I remind myself that I am not defined by my limitations, but by my dreams and aspirations. Today, I choose to see the vast landscape of my potential and allow it to guide me toward becoming the person I was always meant to be. Chapter 4. The Fear Beneath the Clutch. Fear of emptiness, of being nothing. There is a chill that envelopes me as I stand on the precipice of what feels like sheer nothingness. It whispers stories of regret, of lost dreams, and what-ifs. It cradles me in a cocoon of anxiety. This paralyzing fear of the void comes with the weight of letting go. Times when I clutched at life too tightly, relationships that no longer served me, ambitions that turned into burdens. Each release leaves a space that seems to swallow me whole. I question if in shedding these layers, I am not just freeing myself, but also exposing the fragile core of my being. The absence of all that filled my life brings dread, and I find myself trapped in a loop of wondering whether my worth is entwined with what I possess or who I know. Yet in that quiet terror, I learn to breathe amidst the chaos, slowly recognizing that it is okay to feel unanchored. Acknowledging this emptiness is like looking into a mirror that doesn't reflect what I want to see, but rather reveals what can be. It is a fertile ground for new beginnings, a blank slate waiting for my brushstrokes. In this silence, where the echoes of my past no longer drown out my thoughts, I discover the beauty of creation. The potential of what I might fill that void with is both daunting and exhilarating. Each moment of stillness offers a chance to plant seeds of hope, growth, and transformation. Emptiness shifts from being something to fear into a sacred space, a sanctuary where I can deconstruct and reassemble the many facets of my identity without the weight of expectation. I begin to see that in allowing the void to exist, I cultivate an openness that invites new possibilities. As I navigate this journey, the fear that once paralyzed me transforms into a companion guiding me toward liberation. Emptiness becomes an ally rather than an adversary. Each breath I take in its presence reaffirms my resilience. I write my own narrative, one not defined by what I have lost, but by what awaits me. The key, I realize, is to embrace the shadows of fear while welcoming the light of potential. In this intricate dance between loss and rebirth, I find strength in vulnerability. Recognizing emptiness as a temporary state allows me to lean into uncertainty, reminding me that sometimes the most profound beauty emerges from the spaces we once feared the most. It's not about what we fear losing, but about what we might gain when we dare to step into the unknown. The link between control and safety. Control feels like a warm blanket, a protective barrier against the relentless winds of uncertainty. Within each of us lies an instinct, a primal urge to envelop ourselves in the security of predictability. This desire often stems from deep-seated fears, not just of failure or judgment, but of vulnerability. We build walls around our hearts, crafting intricate systems to ensure every aspect of our lives is tightly managed because the chaos of the unknown is too daunting. Each moment we attempt to command our surroundings, we are reacting to that primal instinct of insecurity, echoing the ancient cries of our ancestors who faced the wild with trembling hearts. True safety, the kind that nourishes the spirit, is not found in the rigid grasp of control, but in the gentle acceptance of what is. Relinquishing this grip can seem terrifying, akin to stepping off a familiar ledge into the abyss of the unknown. Yet within that leap lies freedom, the opportunity to embrace life in all its messy glory. When we choose to let go, we discover our resilience, the strength that resides in our very beings. The universe has a rhythm, a flow that invites us to trust in the process rather than trying to dictate its course. By allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, we unfold into a space of authenticity, where true safety resides not outside us, but deep within. Embrace the journey of letting go. It is in this embrace that we find solace and strength. Consider taking a moment each day to release a small element of control in your life. It could be as simple as not planning every hour or allowing yourself to feel emotions without questioning their validity. In these acts of surrender, you may discover the profound beauty of simply being, revealing the safety that has always been waiting within you. Why surrender feels like falling, and why it's not. Surrender often carries a heavy weight of misconception, cloaked in the shadows of perceived weakness. It's easy to see letting go as a failure, a capitulation to life's chaotic turmoil. We hold on to the belief that to surrender is to be defeated, but what if this perspective has been misguided all along? I remember my first encounter with this idea, standing at the edge of uncertainty, heart racing and mind filled with doubts. It felt like standing on the brink of a great abyss, teetering between security and the unknown. Yet, in that moment of hesitation, clarity began to seep in. The truth became evident. Every time we resist, we merely prolong our struggle, binding ourselves to the illusion of control. Surrender is not about giving up. It's about releasing the relentless grip we often have on the outcomes we desperately crave. This realization transformed my understanding, allowing me to see that there is strength in vulnerability. In that space of acceptance, I discovered a newfound freedom, a lightness in letting go. Reframing surrender as an act of confidence shifts the entire narrative. It becomes a grand affirmation of trust, not just in the universe, but in our own journey. I learned that the act of surrendering is not a decline, but rather an ascent, a courageous leap into the unknown. With every step into the uncharted, I invite grace and serendipity to coalesce in my life. Surrender is the quiet whisper of faith, retelling the story that everything unfolds as it should. As I stood amidst the winds of change, I began to see that I wasn't falling. I was soaring, guided by unseen currents that always had my best interest at heart. Each breath in that moment was a dance with the divine, reminding me of the strength woven through my very essence. Embracing the uncertainties, I learned to trust the process, understanding that the beauty of life lies not in its predictabilities, but in its exquisite surprises. Finding peace in surrender is a practice, an art form that unfolds gently over time. It calls for patience and an open heart, one that is willing to embrace the detours and missteps along the way. Like a river gracefully meandering towards the sea, we learn to trust our path, even when it bends and curves unexpectedly. The next time you feel the urge to hold on, consider what would happen if you allowed yourself to flow instead. Can you sense the liberation in releasing your expectations? It helps to remember that surrender is an invitation, not just to let go, but to allow life to unfold as it wishes. The challenge becomes not in giving up, but in letting life embrace you, nurturing your journey with its infinite wisdom. Learning to breathe in the unknown. Learning to breathe in the unknown begins with an awareness that surrounds me like a warm embrace. Each moment, infused with potential, encourages me to pause. In times of uncertainty, I find solace in mindfulness practices that transform anxiety into a gentle curiosity. I close my eyes, feeling the weight of my body on the earth, and I take a breath, a deep, full breath that travels through every corner of my being. This practice invites me to explore the present moment without judgment or expectation. I allow my thoughts to rise and fall like the tides, acknowledging their presence, yet not letting them define me. Through meditation, I create a sacred space within, where I can recognize the whispers of uncertainty. The world moves around me in a chaotic dance, yet here, in this stillness, I find a soft light flickering within, illuminating my path. Mindfulness becomes my anchor, gently pulling me back when I drift into worries about tomorrow or regrets of yesterday. I reflect on nature, watching the way trees sway with the wind, their roots deep and unyielding, their branches flexible yet resilient in the face of storms. In these moments, I learn that uncertainty is not my enemy, but rather a canvas upon which my life can paint itself anew. As I breathe consciously, I invite peace into the chaos that swirls around me. Inhaling deeply, I gather the swirling doubts and fears, drawing them into my lungs, and as I exhale, I release them into the air. This simple act is a reminder of my power to control my experience, no matter how chaotic life may seem. Each breath cycles through me, and in that rhythm, I find acceptance. I learn to let go of the struggle against the unknown, inviting it instead to join me in my journey. Acceptance becomes a key, unlocking doors I never knew existed, revealing a sense of calm beneath the noise. I embrace the unpredictable patterns of life with open arms. In the midst of confusion, I create space for gratitude. I learn to celebrate small victories and the lessons hidden within challenges. Breathing consciously, I become aware of the serenity found in the present moment. Chaos may spin around me endlessly, yet I can remain centered, a still point in a turning world. And in these moments, I find liberation. I learn that peace is not the absence of chaos, but the ability to find tranquility in its very heart. With every breath, I renew my commitment to face the unknown with courage and grace. Take a moment each day to pause and breathe deeply, allowing your breath to guide you back to the present. This simple practice can help create space for clarity, acceptance, and peace amidst uncertainty. Chapter 5: Surrender. The bravery of not resisting. Surrender isn't giving up, it's waking up. Surrender isn't an act of defeat, it's an invitation to awareness. I find myself standing at the crossroads where the weight of my circumstances often attempts to draw me into a tempest of despair. There is a profound difference between surrendering to the chaos around me and surrendering to the natural rhythm of life itself. Choosing to surrender to circumstances feels like an anchor, dragging me down into murky waters of helplessness and resignation. I hold on too tightly to the illusion that I must control everything that happens to me. Yet when I choose to surrender to life, it is as if I am setting myself free, opening my arms to possibility. I realize that life is not a series of battles to be won, but a flow to be embraced. It speaks in whispers and beckons me to trust its wisdom, revealing that in surrendering my need to control, I rediscover the beauty of existence itself. What if you stopped fighting what is? Acceptance, in its purest form, is a gentle surrender to the present moment, a softening of the heart against the currents of life that often feel so relentless. I found that when I stopped resisting what is, I began to taste the sweetness of liberation. It was as if I had been carrying a heavy boulder on my back, and with each breath of acceptance, I felt the weight slowly lift. The struggles, the heartaches, and the disappointments became less intimidating, more like waves that rose and fell in their own time. By embracing reality as it is, I discovered a profound stillness within, a quiet sanctuary amidst the chaos. Therein lies the power of acceptance, a grace that allows us to look at our suffering not as an enemy to battle, but as a teacher, guiding us toward deeper understanding and compassion. Inviting a mindset shift is essential. Rather than engaging in a tug of war with life, I learned to flow with its rhythm, surrendering to its unpredictable nature. This transition was not always seamless, nor did it come without challenges. Yet, with each moment of choice, I felt a spark of freedom ignite within me. The moments I resisted were often the moments I felt the most burdened. Conversely, when I chose to embrace what was unfolding, I opened myself to a dance of possibilities. Instead of experiencing life as a relentless struggle, I began to see it as a fluid journey, each step filled with its own blessings. It taught me that resisting is often an illusion of control, while flowing allows me a glimpse of grace. The journey toward acceptance and flow is subtle yet transformative. It offers a liberating perspective that can usher in profound change. If you find yourself grappling with what is, invite in a moment of stillness. Take a breath and allow yourself to be present. Notice the sensations of your body, the emotions you carry, and the thoughts that race through your mind. With each exhale, let go of the resistance, even if just for a moment. This simple practice of awareness can create ripples of peace, guiding you away from suffering and toward a life rich in acceptance. In those moments of surrender, you may just discover the beauty that life offers, waiting quietly just as it is. Letting life happen without losing yourself. Living authentically and navigating the shifting currents of life can feel like walking a tightrope. The world around us is constantly changing, and while it pulls us in varied directions, we often find ourselves grappling with the urge to conform versus the desire to stay true to who we are. The balance lies in understanding that adaptability doesn't mean abandoning your essence. Instead, it invites us to engage with our true selves fully, even as we bend and sway with the winds of circumstance. It is in this dance between authenticity and adaptability that we can find our own rhythm, a melody that sings our individual song while harmonizing with life's changing compositions. Embracing our individuality intertwines with recognizing our connection to others. Each person we encounter presents a new opportunity for growth, reflection, and understanding. Interdependence becomes a profound source of strength rather than a threat to our uniqueness. In moments of connection, we understand that our essence does not diminish. Instead, it flourishes. We learn that allowing ourselves to be influenced by others while maintaining our identity builds a richer, more vibrant life tapestry. This synergy between self and community creates a beautiful balance, one that encourages us to celebrate our singularity while cherishing the bonds that unite us all. Ultimately, the journey lies in the art of letting go. We can navigate life's ebbs and flows with grace, finding freedom in surrendering to the moment. Holding tightly to who we are, and yet remaining open to the experiences life offers is a delicate but rewarding pursuit. Allow your heart to be both your anchor and your sail, trusting that letting life unfold in its own way can lead to profound discoveries about yourself and your place in the world. Embrace the peace that comes from honoring both your individuality and your connections, for in this dance, you not only find yourself but also the harmony that nourishes your spirit. The difference between acceptance and passivity. True acceptance is not a silent resignation. It does not wrap itself around you like a heavy blanket that stifles your spirit. Rather, it is the gentle caress of a breeze that invites you to spread your wings. When I reflect on acceptance, I realize it is an act of recognizing the present moment without resistance. This consciousness awakens a sense of clarity, urging me to take the path of action even when the landscape is fraught with uncertainty. Acceptance leads me not into defeat, but into transformation. It whispers to me that in acknowledging what is, I hold the keys to what can be. Each moment of true acceptance acts as a catalyst, a still point from which I am encouraged to move forward, to evolve. I embrace the reality of my circumstances, yet remain open, always ready to align my choices with my deepest desires and true potential. Active engagement is the art of living fully while staying open to the winds of change. There is beauty in participating, in immersing myself in the tapestry of life. I find joy in the dance of connection, in expressing my true self, and in pursuing my passions with fervor. This engagement is vibrant, an embodiment of love and purpose, inviting me to savor the richness of each experience. Yet, as I move forward with intention, I also remind myself to remain fluid, like a river that carves its own path but adapts to the terrain it encounters. The willingness to accept change does not make my steps less resolute, it enriches them. Each shift becomes an opportunity rather than a setback. The art lies in balancing this engagement with acceptance, embracing each moment, whether it brings joy or challenge, with an open heart. The more I nurture this balance, the more liberating my journey becomes. As I continue to explore the space between acceptance and passivity, I recognize the importance of grounding my actions in intention. I can assess my circumstances without becoming stagnant, allowing my spirit to soar while my feet remain firmly planted. When that stillness arises within me, a moment of clarity, I take a confident step forward. I hold on to the understanding that I am a participant in my life and co-creator of my future. Embracing this perspective transforms the mundane into the extraordinary, igniting my inner fire and leading me to places of growth and discovery. Every day offers a fresh canvas, and I am the artist, wielding my brush with purpose, always aware of the vibrant colors that emerge from acceptance, action, and the fluidity of change. Chapter 6. When Love Means Letting Go. Why Real Love Doesn't Cling. Unconditional love invites us to discover a truth that dances on the edges of our hearts. It suggests that to love deeply is to set free, to embrace each other without the heavy chains of possession. Real love breathes in the open air, soaring into spaces that feel light and untouched by the weight of expectation. When I think of love, I think not of grasping tightly, but of allowing each moment to flourish without fear. It is not holding on that defines love, but rather the understanding that we can weave our lives together even as we stand as unique beings. I have learned that love can only grow when I trust the strength within myself and in the bond we share. This kind of love gently reminds me that we do not own one another. Instead, we honor the bonds forged by choice and kindness. In this sacred dance of mutual respect, love finds its rhythm. Each heartbeat signals the autonomy of both lovers, painting a picture rich with creativity and individuality. I realize that in nurturing the space between us, we invite connections to flourish in a vibrant way. Respect breathes life into our interactions, allowing us to explore our own paths while celebrating each other's journeys. We grow not by merging into one being, but by encouraging and cheering on each other's pursuits, safeguarding the essence of who we are. The moments spent apart become just as significant, offering the chance to rekindle a love that is ever-renewing. When we choose to respect our individualities, we craft a landscape of experiences that deepens our connection. As I reflect on this journey, I hold close the understanding that love is both a gift we share and a treasure we nurture in the space between our souls. It blooms in the sunlight of freedom, often gasping for air where the weight of obligation suffocates it. The lesson is simple. Love, in its truest form, is not a demand for constant closeness, but an open invitation to grow together and apart harmoniously. Embracing this allows us to cultivate relationship dynamics that are vibrant, enriching, and boundless. To create this atmosphere of love, I remind myself to practice gratitude for each shared moment, allowing room for wonder and exploration. Outgrowing people without villainizing them. Every relationship I have cherished has shaped my journey, and as I evolve, it becomes clear that not all connections grow at the same pace. Recognizing this natural evolution of those around us is not just an understanding, it is an act of grace. I find myself reflecting on the once vibrant exchanges that danced in the light of shared dreams and laughter. Time flows through our lives like a river, carrying us down different paths, allowing for the beauty of growth while sometimes leaving loved ones behind. Rather than labeling these departures as betrayals or failures, choosing instead to honor the growth we both experience is liberating. Embracing the notion that not every bond can withstand the test of time releases the weight of resentment, paving the way for acceptance and peace. People are not villains in the narrative of our lives. They are characters, deserving of kindness and appreciation, simply evolving in their own directions. As I navigate this landscape of relationships, I cultivate a space for gratitude, understanding that each connection has taught me invaluable lessons. Memories linger like sweet notes in the song of my past, each a reminder of joy, heartbreak, and everything in between. This gratitude does not anchor me to what was, but rather illuminates the path for new connections to blossom. With an open heart, I make room for those waiting in the wings, each person a potential teacher offering new perspectives and collaborations. It's essential to honor the beauty of past experiences while allowing oneself to step boldly into new relationships. Acknowledge the gifts others have given you, for they lay the foundation for future encounters, enriching your life in ways you may not yet fully understand. Cherishing what has been prepares me to welcome what is yet to come, shaping a life filled with diverse voices and vibrant exchanges. In this journey of outgrowing connections without malevolence, I find a profound sense of freedom. It acknowledges that evolution requires us to release what no longer serves us. By viewing each relationship as a chapter rather than the entire story, I can appreciate their place in my life. Instead of seeing them as concluded, I choose to see them as parts of a beautiful mosaic, each piece unique, significant, and necessary in their way. Allowing space for new souls to step into my life becomes a celebration rather than a compromise. Every goodbye leads to a new hello, and through this cycle, I cultivate a rich tapestry of relationships, each thread essential in its own right. Embracing this tide of change, I remain open to the unfolding of life's possibilities, trusting that each new connection will add depth to my soul's journey. Loving someone and still choosing distance. Love is an intricate tapestry woven from threads of connection, passion, and care. Yet, within this beautiful fabric, the necessity for boundaries often emerges, drawing a paradoxical line between affection and autonomy. It can feel like a delicate dance, this act of loving someone while recognizing that stepping back is essential for growth. The heart, in its vulnerability, yearns for closeness, yet the soul instinctively understands that true love sometimes means allowing space for both individuals to evolve. There are moments when silence becomes louder than words, and distance, though seemingly harsh, offers the fertile ground upon which self-discovery can blossom. Embracing the complexity of love involves acknowledging that love can exist in many forms, sometimes thriving best when it is not smothered by proximity. To love from a distance is not to love any less. It is a testament to a profound understanding of what love truly means. Healthy detachment allows us to nourish our spirits and cultivate our own identities amidst the intertwining of two lives. It is an act of self-care as much as it is an act of love toward the other. Freedom, the ability to walk your path while holding another's heart gently in your own, can be liberating. In this space of independence, we learn who we are outside the shadows of each other's expectations. It becomes possible to reflect, to grow, to breathe. This self-awareness makes our connections deeper. When we do come together, we meet as two whole individuals rather than two halves seeking completion. When we learn to cherish moments of distance, we find that love need not clash with our need for space. Instead, it can exist harmoniously, enriching our lives in ways we never anticipated. As you navigate the delicate balance of love and distance, consider making it a practice to communicate your needs openly. This simple act can transform potential misunderstandings into pathways for growth, ensuring that both you and your loved one can flourish even when apart. Closure through compassion, not conversation. In the quiet corners of my heart, I have discovered the profound truth that internal closure holds a power far greater than the empty echoes of external validation. The world around us often clamors for acknowledgement and approval, yet it is within ourselves that we find the most genuine acceptance. When I stripped away the voices of others, their judgments and opinions faded like distant thunder, leaving only the soft and steady rhythm of my own heartbeat. Closure, I realized, does not require applause or understanding from those who may never grasp my journey. Instead, it is born from the gentle embrace of self-love, a serene knowing that my worth is not dictated by another's gaze. This intimate dialogue with myself has transformed the way I process pain and release disappointment. Each moment spent in reflection of my experiences has woven a tapestry of understanding, revealing that my peace is derived from within. Forgiveness and compassion emerged as powerful allies in this journey of liberation. They are not merely pleasing gestures to extend toward others. Rather, they are the truest forms of self-rescue. In the beginning, I grappled with the resentment that clung to me like a second skin. It was heavy, laden with the past, but through deep introspection, I unclenched those tightly held grievances. With each exhalation, I chose to release the burden of anger. Instead, I invited compassion to take its place, understanding that each wound tells a story worthy of acknowledgement. I learned to see through the lens of empathy, recognizing that we are all flawed, all striving for solace in a chaotic world. Fostering this sense of understanding has not only eased the weight on my spirit, but also rekindled a sense of connection to the shared human experience. In forgiving others, I was ultimately forgiving myself, liberating my heart from the shackles of bitterness. Each step toward closure through compassion is a step toward freedom. No longer do I seek closure from conversations that clash against my truths. Instead, I invite moments of stillness where I can reconcile with the remnants of my past. In this space, I discover a dialogue that honors my feelings while empowering me to rise. The practice is not always easy, yet it is profoundly liberating. When confronted with experiences that stir old wounds, I remind myself that healing is not linear. It is a process that requires patience and kindness, both to myself and to others as we navigate this intricate dance of life. Recognizing that the light of compassion can illuminate even the darkest pathways offers a glimmer of hope, a promise that my journey toward wholeheartedness begins with a gentle embrace of self-acceptance and understanding. As you venture forth, remember that your internal landscape shapes your reality. Nurture yourself with kindness, and in doing so, cultivate a wellspring of peace that radiates outward. Chapter 7. Letting Go of Guilt and Should. The invisible prison of obligation. There are shadows that linger in our hearts, shadows born from the weight of unmet expectations. I felt them, creeping in silently, each one a whisper of an obligation turned sour. Each unfulfilled promise, whether to myself or woven into my relationships, tied me down with invisible chains. It's a dance we all know too well, the one of juggling the expectations of those around us while battling the deep-seated need to uphold our own dreams and desires. Guilt grips me like a haunting melody, reminding me of the commitments I made, even when my heart no longer sang in harmony with them. The simple act of saying yes to the demands of others while saying no to my own spirit pulls me into an abyss of self-doubt and disappointment. I remember moments when I obliged to help a friend, even when I was weary. As I stepped into that role, guilt intertwined with my being. It shadowed my joy and buried my needs beneath layers of obligation. How many times have we worn these masks, smiling and nodding while our souls quietly yearn for a breath of freedom? Each unmet expectation brings its own burden, a weight that builds over time, and soon, we find ourselves trapped in a cycle of guilt and regret. Recognizing this pattern is the first step towards liberation. It's not merely about acknowledging these feelings. It's about understanding their origin and the cost they exact on our lives. In the stillness of reflection, I began to grasp a profound truth. Freedom is birthed from letting go. I discovered that societal pressures are like tight ropes, artfully spun to keep us walking the straight line of expectation. But what if we chose to sway instead? What if we stepped down from the pedestal of perfection that society erects? With every little choice to release these pressures, I felt the shackles loosening, and in those moments, my soul started to breathe again. I found solace in saying no without guilt and in affirming my right to pursue what truly resonated with my heart. As you embark on your path of release, take quiet moments to listen to your heart. Allow yourself to reflect on the commitments that bring you joy and those that feel burdensome. Understanding the difference will guide you to a more fulfilling existence, where your choices reflect your authentic self and not the roles you feel obliged to play. Self-abandonment in the name of being good. Guilt is a heavy shroud that wraps around the heart, whispering insidious lies that I must prioritize the needs of others above my own. It often plays a deceptive tune, convincing me that my worth hinges on my ability to be accommodating, to give, to serve. I find myself navigating the maze of expectations, feeling the sharp pang of neglect as I set my own desires aside. Emotions swirl within me, each pang of guilt a reminder that I am not enough if I am not selfless. The voices of those around me echo in my mind, reinforcing the narrative that to be good is to abandon my own needs. Yet, in these moments of self-neglect, I lose sight of who I truly am, diminishing my spirit to mere shadows of sacrifice. However, in the quiet corners of my soul, a new understanding begins to bloom. True goodness arises not from self-abandonment, but from the harmonious balance of honoring myself as I honor others. It is liberating to realize that kindness should not come at the expense of my own well-being. When I can stand tall in my own truth, I discover a more profound strength in my ability to care for others. The love I offer them flourishes when rooted in self-respect and self-love. Embracing myself, my flaws, my dreams, my needs, becomes the fertile ground from which genuine compassion grows. Awakened by this insight, I find that my capacity to give expands exponentially when I allow myself to receive the same love I extend to others. In recognizing the delicate dance between self-care and altruism, I reclaim my power, learning that I am inherently worthy of love and kindness. By nourishing my spirit, I create a more profound impact on those around me. To break free from the chains of guilt, I heed the call of my heart, reminding myself that true goodness does not demand sacrifice, but instead celebrates the beautiful amalgamation of self and service. Embracing this truth invites grace into my life, offering a gentler path where I can be both me and we without compromise. As I tread this path, I discover a vital practice. Take a moment each day to check in with your own needs, allowing yourself to flourish as you extend your light to others. The guilt that comes with choosing yourself. There is an undeniable weight that settles in my chest when I admit that I need to prioritize my own needs. The quiet whispers of guilt make themselves known, reminding me of the expectations wrapped around my responsibilities to family and friends. Choosing myself often feels like standing at the edge of a precipice, looking down into the unknown depths of self-care and self-love. I can feel the cold grip of obligation pulling me back, urging me to conform to the demands of others. Yet, I know that the discomfort I experience is not just mine. It is a universal ache felt by many, a reflection of the societal conditioning that teaches us to be selfless at the cost of our own peace. As I sit with this discomfort, I realize that it stems from a deep-seated belief that my worth is measured by what I can do for others. It is a belief ingrained in me from childhood, where saying no was perceived as selfishness. This internal conflict causes ripples in my heart, as I know that prioritizing my own needs does not mean I love others any less, but rather that I can only give fully when my own cup is overflowing. The moment I acknowledge this discomfort, I step into a space of truth, a space where valid emotions coexist, allowing me to untangle the strings of guilt and obligation that tie me down. Embracing self-care feels like a radical act of rebellion against a world that often equates love with sacrifice. In the stillness of my own company, I have come to understand that nurturing myself is not an indulgence, but a fundamental necessity. When I begin to carve out moments just for me, whether through meditation, reading a cherished book, or taking a long walk under the canopy of trees, I am not only mending the seams of my own soul, but also nurturing my relationships with those I love. The paradox is profound. The more I choose myself, the more fully I can engage in the lives of others. In these moments of self-care, I find clarity and strength, allowing me to approach my loved ones with a heart unburdened by resentment or depletion. I realize that healthy relationships thrive when they are rooted in the soil of mutual respect, where both parties honor their own needs and boundaries. No longer do I see choosing myself as an act of rebellion. It becomes an offering, a promise that I will show up not just as a shadow of who I am, but as my whole, vibrant self. This liberation transforms connections, allowing them to flourish on the fertile ground of authenticity and balance. As I navigate the journey of prioritizing my needs, I take with me the simple yet profound truth. Self-care is not selfishness, but the very essence of thriving relationships. It guides me to create sacred spaces for both myself and others, nurturing a cycle of love, respect, and vitality. So, I remind myself daily, choosing to tend to my own garden is not just a personal act, it is a gift I share with the world. Rewriting what it means to be kind. Kindness often dances on a fine line, a balance between giving and protecting ourselves. When we think of kindness, we often envision selflessness, an act of opening our arms wide and giving every ounce of ourselves to others. Yet, in this expansive embrace, we may forget that kindness must also honor our personal boundaries. These boundaries are not walls to shut others out. They are gentle lines drawn in the sand that allow us to engage authentically while safeguarding our well-being. I have learned that being kind does not mean depleting our own energy for others, but rather reflecting a deep understanding of our needs and limits. It is in this space that true kindness emerges, where we say yes with intention and no with grace, allowing others to see us as whole beings deserving of care and respect. With this awareness, kindness transforms into a broader concept, one that encourages us to advocate for ourselves as fiercely as we support those around us. This self-advocacy is like a dance, harmonizing our desires with the needs of others. It invites us to express our truths without fear of judgment. The soft heart that beats within us yearns for connection, and we must nourish it by affirming our own value. In this mutual respect, we learn that kindness is not merely an outpouring of love toward others. It is also an acknowledgement that we are worthy of kindness ourselves. Embracing both sides of the equation, we step into a richer, more textured understanding of what it means to be kind, not just in our actions, but in how we treat ourselves. Let the journey of redefining kindness be liberating. In recalibrating our views on what kindness encompasses, we honor the subtle dance between giving and receiving. As we navigate through life, let us practice compassion towards ourselves, ensuring we have the strength to extend that same grace outward. When we take a moment to check in with ourselves and validate our own needs, we cultivate an abundant kind of kindness that resonates within and radiates outwards. Consider the next time you find yourself helping someone to also pause and reflect. Am I being kind to myself in this exchange? This question can lead to soul-nourishing choices that uphold your spirit while embracing the beauty of kindness in all its forms. Chapter 8. Letting Go of the Past. You are not the worst thing that happened to you. There is a whispering shadow that tries to cling to us, shaping our identity with the weight of our past mistakes and traumas. It tells us we are the sum of our scars, our failures, and the heartaches that have punctuated our lives. Yet, in this dance of self-definition, it is crucial to step back and ask, am I truly defined by what has happened to me, or is there a deeper essence, an unyielding spirit that remains untouched? Each stumble we make unfolds a story, but it is not the entirety of our being. Instead, those moments are chapters in a book that speaks of resilience, growth, and unyielding hope. When I look back at moments of struggle, rather than allowing them to eclipse my worth, I see the seeds of understanding they have sown, each breaking open to reveal the beauty that can emerge after the storm. As I sit with this understanding, I begin to unravel the tangled threads of my identity. I come to realize that my worth is not tethered to my worst moments. It exists in my capacity to rise, to reinvent myself beyond the shadows. Each setback carries within it the potential for a breakthrough, urging me to remember that I am not a prisoner of my past, but rather a traveler, gathering wisdom and strength. In this journey, I learn that my identity flows like a river, capable of carving new paths, endlessly evolving. Embracing this perspective invites liberation, encouraging me to step forward without the weight of guilt or shame. When I let go of the need to be defined by what has transpired, I open doors to the possibility of rewriting my narrative with strokes of compassion and creativity instead of pain. In the heart of this journey lies self-compassion, a gentle embrace that invites healing and renewal. It is an act of kindness toward ourselves, especially during moments when our inner critic becomes a relentless companion. I remind myself that it's okay to stumble, to feel the weight of imperfection. In recognizing this, I create a safe harbor for my thoughts and emotions, freeing myself from the chains of judgment. When I treat myself with the same warmth I would offer a friend in sorrow, I start to cultivate resilience. It becomes the cushion that softens the fall, a reminder that I am, like everyone else, beautifully flawed. This journey demands a steadfast commitment to nurturing the voice of compassion within. Life often presents us with challenges that can feel insurmountable, yet in those moments, I have found that pausing to breathe and offer myself grace can shift everything. It reframes my struggles, not as weights pulling me down, but as experiences that enrich my tapestry of life. Embracing self-compassion allows me to sift through the debris, recognizing that beneath the pain, there lies a wellspring of strength and renewal. It invites me to see how, even in the depths of my sorrow or confusion, I carry the seeds of possibility, waiting for the right conditions to bloom. When I center myself in kindness, I ignite a spark of possibility, a reminder that I am not alone, and that every setback can lead to a resurgence of hope, creativity, and renewed purpose. In these moments of reflection, I find a practical reminder that can transform not just how I see myself, but also how I can navigate the world. Each time a wave of self-doubt or painful memory rises, I can respond with a question. What would I tell my best friend in this moment? This simple shift in perspective offers the gift of clarity and compassion, allowing me to sift through my experiences and emerge with a fuller understanding of who I am becoming. It's a practice, an art of gentle inquiry, leading me back to my heart. The past only lives where you feed it. Every memory we hold carries with it a fragment of energy, a whisper of the emotions we felt in those moments. It is as if the past exists in the atmosphere around us, waiting patiently for our attention. When we dwell on those moments of hurt, they breathe life into what should otherwise be dormant. Each time we revisit a wound, we feed it with our energy, willing it to occupy a space in our present. This energetically charged focus can turn an old pain into a living entity that shadows our daily lives, lingering like a specter that clouds our perception of joy. Our thoughts, steeped in past disappointments, form a tapestry of experience that sometimes feels inescapable. Yet, what if we chose to redirect our gaze? What if we let go of trying to negotiate peace with every hurtful memory and instead focused on the richness of the now? Reclaiming the present is a gentle act of rebellion against the weight of past expectations and experiences. In every moment lies a new opportunity to breathe, to observe, and to feel free. When I turn my attention to what is here, to the sensations coursing through my body and the wonders of the world around me, I realize how much life waits eagerly to be embraced. It is as if the present speaks a language of liberation, offering me a chance to rewrite my narrative, one breath at a time. I can hear the laughter of children outside, feel the sun warming my skin, and taste the sweetness of a moment untainted by regret or sorrow. When I ground myself in the now, I reclaim my power and rewrite the influence of those past hurts. They lose their grip, becoming mere echoes that remind me of my resilience rather than my frailty. Embracing the present invites a profound stillness and clarity, where I can build a life rooted in joy, hope, and possibility, unshackled by the chains of yesteryear. To begin this journey toward living fully in the present, start small. Take a moment each day to stop and breathe deeply. Pay attention to your surroundings, the colors, the sounds, the feelings. Let each breath anchor you in the now, allowing the past to fade into a shadow that no longer defines your narrative. With intention, cultivate your awareness, observing your thoughts without judgment, embracing the here and now as an endless source of renewal. Forgiveness is freedom, not permission. Forgiveness is not merely about giving others a pass for their transgressions. It is fundamentally an act of self-liberation. The chains of resentment can weigh heavily upon our hearts, entrapping us in a cycle of anger and disappointment. In choosing to forgive, I discovered a path that leads away from the bitterness that had become a constant companion. It was a challenge, to be sure, to embrace forgiveness without glossing over the hurt, yet as I delved deeper, I realized that this act became a gift I bestowed upon myself. This journey of forgiveness transformed my inward landscape. No longer was I a prisoner to the past, reliving the pain as if it were a replayed film. Instead, I began to understand that forgiveness is the invitation to reclaim time and energy expended on dwelling in negativity. When I let go of the expectation that others should pay for their actions, I found clarity and peace blossoming within me like flowers in spring after a long winter. In this space of liberation, I began to understand the profound truth. Forgiveness is a release of the burden I so fiercely clutched, and in that act, I found my freedom. Healing through present action, not mental time travel. In the dance of our days, we often lose ourselves in a waltz of distraction, our thoughts darting backward, replaying old scenes that cling like shadows. Real healing, however, invites a different rhythm, one rooted in the present moment. When I paused to consider my surroundings, the vibrant colors of a sunset, the gentle breeze brushing against my skin, I realized that healing is found not in the echoes of yesterday, but in the warmth of today. Each actionable step taken now is a note in this symphony of serene existence, a chance to create harmony rather than dwell in discord. By focusing on what is in our hands in the present, we nurture a landscape where real change can flourish, where small acts transform into monumental shifts. This very moment is a canvas, broad and blank, waiting for us to paint our intentions and aspirations in broad strokes of conviction. Mindfulness becomes the gentle whisper that guides us away from the tugs of our past. By cultivating a present-focused mindset, I find clarity amid the chaos of conflicting emotions and memories. Instead of tethering myself to pain or regret, I can breathe deeply and ground myself in sensations, the feel of the earth beneath my feet, the pulsating rhythm of my heart, the simple act of inhaling life anew. With each mindful breath, I dissolve the patterns that once trapped me, casting light on the paths forward. These moments of awareness free me from the spectral chains of what once was, allowing me to rewrite the narrative with fresh ink. The onus of my healing rests in the choices I make in this very second, the power I embrace to shape my tomorrow, unburdened by any past weights. To truly embrace this journey, remember that small, deliberate actions can foster profound change. It could be as simple as sipping your morning coffee mindfully, savoring each flavor, or taking a moment to appreciate the laughter of a friend. Each mindful, present action is a step towards reprogramming our responses and breaking free from cycles that no longer serve us. Embrace the now. Let it envelop you with its soothing presence, inviting you to breathe in peace and exhale the chains of time. Healing lies not in retreating to a time that cannot be changed, but in marching forward, each step a testament to resilience and a celebration of life. Chapter 9. Letting Go of Control. Nothing tightens the fist like fear. Fear can appear in myriad forms, swirling within us like a tempest that cannot be ignored. It often manifests as a gripping need for control, a reflexive attempt to shield ourselves from the unknown. In these moments, we may find our hands clenched tightly, our minds racing with every possible outcome. This instinct to control, whether it manifests in our relationships, our careers, or our daily routines, grows from the belief that if we can manage the chaos, we can prevent the dark shadows of failure or loss from creeping into our lives. Yet, in this urgent quest for control, we forget the softness that exists in the unattached acceptance of life's unfolding. The tighter we grip, the more we are bound by the very fears we seek to evade. It is as if we are holding on to a wild horse, terrified it might throw us off, even as its strength aches to race freely through the fields of possibility. Releasing control is akin to releasing a breath we did not know we were holding. It begins with a whisper of trust, a fragile confidence that beneath our fears lies a reservoir of resilience. Allowing ourselves to step back from the reins invites vulnerability, but within that vulnerability, we often discover a deeper connection to ourselves. The act of trusting becomes a dance with the unknown, a reminder that life flows in unpredictable directions. By surrendering to the current, we begin to recognize our own strength. It is in the spaces of uncertainty where we find our true selves, unencumbered by the chains of expectation. With each moment we choose to let go, we reclaim our breath, softening the grip on our fists and opening ourselves to the grace that lies in the embrace of life's rhythm. As we navigate the terrain of life, remember to take a moment and breathe into your fears. Acknowledge their presence, for they may serve as a guide rather than a chain. By allowing yourself to feel without clinging, you cultivate an inner sanctuary of trust. Make peace with the uncertainty, and watch how the tighter grips of fear begin to unlock, making room for a more fluid, expansive existence. Every small act of surrender creates a powerful ripple in the ocean of your spirit, freeing you to embrace the miraculous ebb and flow of life. Control is an illusion the mind clings to for safety. We walk through life with a map that we think we designed, following paths we believe we have chosen. Yet, beneath the surface of our meticulous planning lies a vast tapestry of uncertainty. The mind, a clever architect, crafts this illusion of control, stitch by stitch, often in response to our fears. When we grasp at control, we seek comfort in the chaos, finding solace in the notion that we can steer our outcomes as if fate were a puppet on our strings. But control is a mirage, a fleeting glimmer that, while comforting, ultimately deceives us. As I reflect on moments when I felt in command, I realize those days were intertwined with deeper frights, those whispers of what if clawing at the edges of my consciousness. In this dance with control, we often forget that relinquishing the illusion can be where true empowerment begins. Recognizing that true safety originates from self-acceptance and resilience, I embarked on a journey inward. Safety does not lie in the predictability of outcomes, but rather in the acceptance of ourselves and our journey. It blooms from understanding our strengths and vulnerabilities, embracing the duality of both. Each scar, each moment of difficulty, holds a lesson, threading resilience into the very fabric of who we are. I began to appreciate the unpredictability of life as a companion, a teacher rather than an adversary. The more I accepted my realities, the less I chased the mirage of control, allowing me to breathe into the chaos and find peace within. In the quiet moments of solitude, I learned that safety exists in authenticity, the friendship of courage and self-acceptance weaving a softer, more liberating truth. By nurturing a compassionate relationship with myself, I discovered that resilience can be the bedrock upon which we build our lives, changing the narrative from fear-driven control to love-driven acceptance. Trusting the ebb and flow of existence brings forth a liberating sense of freedom. Embracing uncertainty doesn't diminish my spirit. Instead, it enriches my experience. Finding beauty in vulnerability has taught me that holding on to control stifles my essence, while letting go opens space for deeper connections, creativity, and joy. A practical step in this journey is to pause and acknowledge when the instinct to control surfaces. Journaling thoughts during those moments can illuminate the underlying fears, creating pathways to understanding and release. Each day, as I stand with open arms to whatever comes my way, I unravel deeper layers of my truth, discovering that safety, indeed, resides within. Trusting the process when you don't see progress. Life often unfolds in ways that can leave us scratching our heads, feeling adrift amid the uncertainties and challenges that arise. It's easy to become disheartened when the results of our efforts seem shrouded in silence, when our desires seem to linger just beyond our grasp. Yet, there is a melody that plays in the background of our lives, a gentle reminder that faith in the journey can provide comfort even in the absence of visible progress. As I navigate through these moments, I find solace in trusting the unfolding of life, recognizing that each step I take is a note in a larger symphony. The whispers of the universe often remind us that things are not always as they appear. External footprints may not always reflect the internal transformation occurring within us. It becomes a practice of tuning my heart to the subtleties of life, learning to appreciate the beauty of the process itself, rather than fixating solely on the destination. The journey of life, with all its ups and downs, offers a canvas where trust becomes the paintbrush. I have discovered strength not in the reach of my goals, but in the moments where I allow myself to simply be. With each misstep, I remind myself that the lessons I gather build a robust foundation of resilience. Trusting in this expansive journey allows me to embrace uncertainty, recognizing that every twist and turn contributes to my growth. There is power in surrendering to the process, in allowing the universe to guide me rather than insisting on a specific outcome. It's a liberating experience to understand that each day holds the potential for revelation, even when change feels imperceptible. In essence, the journey itself becomes a breathtaking destination, where trust encourages exploration rather than stagnation, and faith nurtures my spirit along the road. Life's unfolding nature sometimes calls for patience, anchoring me in moments of stillness. As I continue on this path, I nurture the belief that something beautiful is being crafted beyond my comprehension. Perhaps the most fruitful practice is to remain open, to welcome the unexpected as a teacher rather than a stumbling block. It is in these quiet spaces that I find opportunities for reflection, for growth, and for the intricate weaving of experiences that lead to profound understanding. A practical tip for those feeling lost amid the silence of their progress: cultivate a ritual of gratitude. By acknowledging even the smallest victories, I affirm the importance of every action taken on my path. In doing so, I develop a deeper trust in the process, ensuring that I remain in harmony with the flow of life, embracing both its ebbs and its flows. Releasing the need to predict, fix, or force. Understanding the futility of trying to control outcomes unveils a profound truth. Life, in all its beauty and unpredictability, flows like a river, each twist and turn revealing something new. I have often caught myself gripping tightly to the reins of expectation, convinced that if I can just predict the next turn, I will emerge victorious. Yet, in those moments of frantic effort, the universe unfurls in unexpected ways, reminding me that to cling is to stray from the essence of living. It is in the gentle release of that need, of trying to fix every problem, to manipulate every scenario, that I find a calm oasis. Acceptance becomes a balm for the restless heart, allowing me to float upon the current rather than wrestle against it. This journey of surrender invites a deeper understanding of my place within the vast tapestry of existence, where I am but a single thread, and the pattern cannot be forced or predicted. Embracing spontaneity transforms my existence from a choreographed dance into a vibrant melody. Each unplanned moment offers a canvas of possibilities, a chance to discover joy in the unexpected. There is an exhilarating freedom in letting go of structure, of allowing the day's rhythm to lead me where it will. I recall a day when I wandered without destination, guided only by the whispers of my heart and the allure of curiosity. The laughter of strangers, the beauty of a sunset, the taste of an unplanned meal, all became part of an adventure that I could never have scripted. In those moments, joy flows unimpeded, unfiltered by the chains of expectation. Every spontaneous encounter teaches me that bliss often resides beyond the fortress of control, waiting patiently to be acknowledged. It invites me to dance in the uncertainty, revealing treasures hidden within the layers of a life well lived. As I reflect on this journey, a practical reminder emerges. Try to embrace a day of spontaneity. Allow your heart to lead you, whether it be taking a different route home, trying a dish you've never considered, or engaging with someone new. Each deviation holds the potential for discovery, a step away from the confines of predictability. In this space of openness, life blooms anew, encouraging exploration over expectation, liberating us from the clutches of control. Chapter 10: Letting Go of the Future. Anxiety is imagination abused by fear. Fear is a sculptor with a heavy hand, bending and twisting the raw material of our imagination into shadows that whisper uncertainty. In moments when I surrender to fear, my thoughts unravel into intricate webs of what-ifs, each strand thickening with dread. I start to paint scenes that are vivid yet chilling, facing crowds with sweaty palms, anticipating failure in every endeavor. Anxiety becomes a storyteller, weaving tales of catastrophe and loss that feel all too real. I often find myself walking through this gallery of horrors, each painting singing a dissonant tune of unease, clouding my mind with scenarios that never came to fruition. This distortion is multifaceted. It blurs the lines between possibility and probability, leaving me stranded in a fog of worry. What was once a realm where my creativity could flourish turns into a battleground where fear takes center stage, and my imagination is held hostage. Realizing this, I start to inspect the roots of such fears. What am I truly afraid of? Each question unfurls another layer of the disarray, inviting me to confront rather than retreat. The truth is, imagination, when harnessed by the bonds of anxiety, becomes an accessory to chaos, chaining me to outcomes I have yet to live. In this tumult, I discover the gentle power of mindfulness, a balm for the storms within. Engaging in simple practices offers a pathway back to clarity and calm. I breathe deeply, inhaling the possibility of peace, and exhaling tension like a feather floating away. Every mindful breath becomes my refuge. I begin to notice the world around me with new eyes, where colors grow richer and sounds resonate with a soothing cadence. In these moments, I reconnect with the present, gathering strength as my anxiety recedes, its grip loosening like a forgotten memory. A practical tip to aid in this transformation lies in establishing a daily ritual, even if just for a few moments. Grounding yourself in the present through breath can reframe your relationship with anxious thoughts. Create a sanctuary within your mind by carving out time to embrace silence, allowing your imagination to flourish free from the chains of fear. The illusion of preparation as protection. Preparation often wraps itself around our lives like a comforting cloak, promising safety and security. I've spent countless hours planning each step, meticulously crafting outlines for my days, my dreams, and even my thoughts. There's a sense of control in shaping the future with careful intentions, as I bury myself in books, resources, and advice. Yet beneath this facade of readiness, I've begun to realize the truth. It is only an illusion. The world is rarely cooperative. It dances to its own tune, unpredictable and wild, tugging us in directions we never anticipated. My elaborate blueprints have unraveled before me as unforeseen circumstances crashed in like waves against a fragile shore. I've learned that while preparation provides a sense of comfort, it's adaptability that allows us to weather the storms of life. Adapting doesn't mean discarding preparation. It blends seamlessly into the art of living. Imagine standing firm on a mountain, winds howling, clouds swirling above. The key is to bend with the gusts rather than resist, to grow roots deep into the earth, even as the branches sway. When we grasp the balance between what we've planned and what life throws our way, we cultivate resilience. We learn to navigate not just with maps, but with the intuitive compass of presence. Each day becomes a blend of expectation and spontaneity, where our hearts can feel the pulse of the moment. Realizing that preparation can only take me so far has been a pressing revelation. I remember moments when I felt that I was ready, armed with all the research and tools I needed, but then life threw in a curveball. Instead of standing firm, I found my footing slipping. There is a certain beauty in embracing vulnerability, allowing myself to be open to the unexpected while cherishing the lessons ingrained in every misstep. Being present is where real power lies. It's about recognizing the subtleties of now, the whispered cues of life that may lead to pathways I could not have orchestrated through planning alone. To breathe deeply in the moment is to cultivate a kind of mindfulness that bridges the gap between preparation and spontaneity. I carry with me the wisdom of being present, letting each experience wash over me without clinging too tightly to preconceived notions of how it should unfold. This is where freedom blooms, where my journey transforms into a flow rather than a fight. So often, I remind myself to pause, let go of overthinking, and simply engage with the richness before me. In this gentle embrace of presence, I discover that I am both prepared and alive, ready for whatever mysteries the universe may unveil. By practicing mindfulness regularly, I become equipped not just for what I expect, but for all that is yet to come. This delicate dance of preparation and presence sets the stage for a life that is not only lived but celebrated. The peace of not needing to know. In the vast landscapes of our minds, uncertainty often feels like a dense fog. It wraps around us, cloaking our vision of what lies ahead. Yet, within this fog, there lies a liberation that beckons us to explore. The unknown is not merely a barren void. It is a canvas awaiting the brushstrokes of our imagination. Embracing uncertainty is akin to learning to dance in the dark. It is a choice to release the desire for control, allowing the rhythm of life to guide our movements instead. The liberation found in accepting that we do not need to know every detail or outcome is profound. It frees us from the shackles of expectation, encouraging us to trust the journey rather than fixate on a destination. In this surrender, we find resilience, uncovering strength we never knew we had, as we navigate the twists and turns with an open heart. Cultivating a mindset that cherishes curiosity can transform our relationship with the world. Curiosity is like a light piercing through the fog, illuminating possibilities hidden within uncertainty. It urges us to ask questions and seek experiences, nurturing a sense of wonder. Instead of waiting for answers to life's most pressing mysteries, we can choose to revel in the beauty of inquiry. When we shift our focus from expectations to exploration, we open ourselves to deeper connections and richer experiences. Just as a child marvels at a butterfly's flight, we can learn to appreciate the small miracles that unravel around us. In each moment, there exists the potential for discovery, where joy can emerge from the journey of asking rather than the pressure of answering. By allowing ourselves to live in the questions and to embrace the unknown, we cultivate a sense of peace that permeates our daily lives. It's the soft whisper of assurance reminding us that we do not need to have it all figured out. It's perfectly fine to just be. This sense of calm radiates not only within us but also towards those we encounter. The next time uncertainty envelopes you, take a deep breath and celebrate the opportunity it brings. Consider journaling your curiosities or embracing new experiences that might once have seemed daunting. Let each inquiry lead you on a path to self-discovery, where peace is found in the wonder of not needing to know. Becoming available to life instead of scripting it. Life has a way of weaving unexpected patterns, and I often find myself caught in the tapestry of spontaneous moments that blossom when I least expect them. As I navigate through the rhythm of daily life, I've learned that holding too tightly to my plans can create barriers, stifling the beauty of what could unfold. An open heart and mind act as a gentle release, allowing the universe to dance with me instead of adhering strictly to a predetermined script. The flow of life beckons me to let go of the rigid outlines I create, encouraging me to embrace the gentle invitations of serendipity. In this space of openness, my path unfurls with greater ease, filled with blossoms of new experiences that infuse my life with colors I never knew existed. There is a unique magic in the unplanned, a thrill that surges through the core of my being when I step outside my comfort zone. The unexpected moments often become my fondest memories. Whether it's a last-minute road trip or a serendipitous conversation with a stranger, these experiences ignite a sense of aliveness within me, reminding me that life is not meant to be confined. In those fleeting instances, joy dances around me, twirling through the air like autumn leaves caught in a gentle breeze. Every surprising turn offers a lesson wrapped in delight. It teaches me to savor the now, to inhale the essence of life's unpredictability. Allowing spontaneity to take the lead liberates me from the weight of overthinking and ushers in a flow that is both refreshing and exhilarating. Embracing life's uncertainties can be intimidating, yet the gifts it offers are nothing short of transformative. As I surrender to the whims of spontaneity, I uncover facets of myself I might never see if I clung to structure and predictability. I'm learning to welcome the unexpected with open arms, nurturing an intuition that thrives in the uncharted territories. To cultivate this openness, I remind myself to breathe deeply, to pause and remain alert to the whispers of life around me. The more I lean into these moments, the more I find that joy and connection await me just beyond the horizon of my planned scripts. Perhaps the simplest way to begin is by setting an intention to welcome one small surprise each day, whether it's meeting a new person or trying a different route to work. Each little act of openness leads me closer to a life full of wonder. Chapter 11. Letting Go of Perfection. Perfectionism as Self-Punishment. In the quiet moments of reflection, I often find myself wrestling with the idea of perfection. The pursuit of an ideal that is as elusive as a shadow on water can feel like an act of self-violence. I have placed impossible demands upon myself, believing that if I could just achieve that unattainable standard, I would finally feel worthy. Yet, with each failure to live up to that ideal, I have unwittingly turned the blade against my own heart, shaping scars from the weight of my expectations. The relentless quest for flawlessness strips away my joy, leaving me hollow. I bow to the altar of perfectionism, punishing myself for every tiny mistake or deviation. It's then that I realize the profound truth. The drive for perfection drains my spirit and pins me beneath a weight I chose to carry. In stark contrast, embracing my flaws has become a gentle act of liberation. Each imperfection reveals a facet of my humanity, weaving together my authenticity like threads in a tapestry. With every quirk and blemish, I draw closer to the person I am meant to be, dancing in harmony with the reality of my existence. When I look into the mirror and see not just the surface but the story etched upon my skin, I realize that these imperfect features breathe life into my soul. I honor the moments of vulnerability, allowing them to guide me toward deeper connections with others. In this acceptance lies a beautiful freedom, an invitation to be raw, genuine, and unguarded, dissolving the chains that perfectionism had forged around me. Instead of pulling away from my imperfections, I can learn to welcome them, recognizing that every flaw tells a story worth sharing. The path to authenticity is not about self-judgment. It's about self-love and compassion. I can choose to see myself with grace, noticing how beautifully imperfect I am. In those moments of self-acceptance, I reclaim the pieces of myself that perfectionism sought to erase. I encourage you to seek moments where you can celebrate your own imperfections, allowing them to enrich your journey toward a more authentic self. Remember, imperfection is not a flaw. It is the raw, beautiful essence of being human. Why we polish our pain instead of revealing it. In the depths of our souls, we often feel the heavy weight of pain silently nestled within. It feels easier, somehow, to polish our pain, adorn it with layers of smiles and laughter, than to lift the curtain and reveal the raw truth. Sharing our struggles feels like standing naked in a thunderstorm, exposed and vulnerable, while polishing allows us to wear armor of bravado. We've been taught that weakness is an affliction, a blemish that tarnishes our image in a world that venerates strength above all. Admitting pain can feel like inviting judgment, so we bury it, covering it like a beautiful mask, perfect and pristine. Yet beneath that facade, the scars throb and whisper our stories, waiting for the right moment to be heard. When we hide our pain, we do so not out of choice, but from a deep-rooted compulsion to conform. The world thrusts us into roles, urging us to be the strong one, the resilient one, the one who always rises after falling. In this constant performance, we lose touch with the bonds that genuine vulnerability can forge. Irony binds us. We ache for connection, yet we obfuscate the very thing that creates intimacy. As I wander through the tangled paths of my emotions, I often pause to reflect on the beauty of my unrefined edges. Perhaps it is time to let go of the polished facade, to let our imperfections hang out like colorful threads, weaving a more complex yet authentic tapestry of our lives. Vulnerability is not the absence of strength. Rather, it is the quiet courage to unveil our deepest selves. When we allow our truths to flow freely, when we gently peel off the layers we've carefully crafted, something magical happens. We invite connection into our lives. When I share my moments of despair, my stories enveloping pain, I often find that others resonate with them in ways I never expected. Instinctively, they begin to share their own vulnerabilities, creating a more profound bond than any polished tale could muster. The raw and real moments become the lifeblood of our interactions, fostering an understanding that transcends mere words. We discover we are not alone, and in our shared experiences, we find healing. Encouraging vulnerability opens doors to deeper understanding and trust, sculpting relationships that flourish in honesty and compassion. We learn that revealing our scars does not diminish us, but rather enriches the tapestry of our connections. So, let us gather the pieces of our raw stories, stitching them together to create a quilt that reflects our collective human experience. Reach out to someone today and share a piece of your truth, big or small. In doing so, you might just unlock the door to a more profound relationship, one that celebrates the beauty of our shared humanity, pain and all. What happens when you show up messy but real? Embracing the messiness of life opens doors to a profound beauty that often remains hidden beneath the surface of polished facades. We live in a world that values perfection, a place where filtered images and well-crafted stories reign supreme. Yet, there is something deeply captivating about the raw, unedited truth of our journeys. When I step into spaces with my imperfections on display, I find solace in the uncomfortable and the unfiltered. Each flaw tells a story, every tear and scar a testament to navigating through storms. Embracing the beauty in my authenticity means honoring the moments of struggle and joy alike, understanding that these experiences paint a richer picture of who I truly am. This journey, with its ups and downs, is where I discover not only myself, but also the large canvas of humanity reflected in my story. Real connection blooms in the fertile ground of shared experiences. I have often found that beneath the surface of our carefully curated lives, we all bear similar burdens: fear, joy, heartache, and hope. When I allow myself to be vulnerable, to show my mess, I invite others to do the same. There lies a sacred bond in that space. Conversations deepen, laughter grows louder, and tears feel lighter. In those moments, we shed the weight of expectations and simply exist as we are. I remember one particular evening filled with laughter and stories, where strangers transformed into friends over shared fears and dreams. It was in that vulnerability that we realized the universal threads weaving us together. Breaking down walls of perfectionism, we reveal our hearts more fully, igniting connections that offer both comfort and liberation. We are made for connection, and it is through our shared, imperfect experiences that we cultivate the seeds of authentic relationships. Carry this reminder: the world doesn't need more perfect people. It craves the beauty of truth, the authenticity that comes from living fully in our own skin. If you ever hesitate to show up as you are, remember that your messy journey is enough. Allow yourself to be seen and let the beauty of your story unfold, knowing that in doing so, you create space for others to share their own truths. So go ahead, embrace your mess, and watch how it transforms not only you but also the hearts of those around you. Progress over performance. In the quiet moments of reflection, I find the essence of my journey is not tethered to the perfection of my steps, but rather to the richness of my growth. Shifting the focus from flawless execution to authentic growth and improvement allows me to embrace the very heart of my experiences. It becomes a dance, not of pristine moves, but of the rhythm of my heart learning the steps. Each stumble, each misstep, carries a lesson so golden that it outshines the most polished performance. In this paradigm, I discover that there is beauty in the process itself, a gentle reminder that the path I tread is fertile ground for nurturing the spirit. It is not an end, but a continuous unfolding of who I am and who I aspire to be. Celebrating small victories transforms the mundane into the extraordinary. Each tiny achievement becomes a stepping stone on my continuous path of self-evolution, a testament to the effort I choose to invest in my becoming. With each success, no matter how minor it seems, I allow joy to bloom in my heart. It's a whisper of encouragement that urges me to see the glass not just as half full, but overflowing with possibility. The act of acknowledging these moments infuses my life with a spark, a shimmering light that guides me even through the shadows of doubt and uncertainty. The journey becomes a tapestry woven with threads of persistence and hope, reminding me that it is the small victories that serve as the foundation of my larger ambitions. In this dance between progress and performance, I find myself liberating my spirit from the shackles of expectation. I release the urge to compare my path to that of others, knowing deeply that every journey is as unique as the soul embarking upon it. Therein lies the power of progress. It compels me to trust the timing of my life, to lean into the lessons hidden within my story. A practical tip emerges from this reflection. Capture these moments of progress in a journal, allowing your inner voice to sing freely as you document each step forward. These entries become a source of inspiration, illuminating the ebbs and flows of your journey, reminding you always to cherish the growth that springs from your unwavering commitment to evolve. Chapter 12. Letting Go of Being Right. The Emotional Cost of Needing to Win. In a world that often equates winning with worth, I found myself wrapped in a cloak of certainty, where being right was the armor I wore. This need, this insatiable desire to prove my correctness, carved a path that veered away from connection. Each debate, each disagreement felt like a battlefield where I stood alone, valiantly fighting to uphold my stance, unaware of the emotional toll it exacted on those around me. It seemed that every moment spent defending my opinions consumed precious time and energy that could have forged deeper bonds with others. As I delved into the contours of my relationships, I slowly recognized a pattern. The ones I loved the most began to retreat into silence as my proclamations grew louder. Their eyes, once lively with the spark of shared laughter, dimmed under the weight of my fearless need to be right. In defending my position, I unwittingly built a wall, brick by brick, distancing me from understanding their fears, dreams, and vulnerabilities. Their voices became reflections of my stubbornness, echoing faintly in the background while my heart yearned to find the melody of genuine connection. Then, like early morning light breaking through the fog, I realized that empathy held a key, a gentle invitation to unlock deeper connections. What if, instead of seeking victory in conversation, I sought to understand, to listen? I ventured into conversations with an openness that had previously felt foreign. I asked questions not to challenge, but to explore. Each response, a brushstroke on the canvas of our shared humanity, began painting a picture that celebrated our differences rather than magnifying them. This shift was liberating. I learned that empathy doesn't erase my own beliefs. Instead, it enriches them, weaving the threads of my experience with those of others. In those moments of shared vulnerability, I discovered the beauty of connection, an intricate dance where we could both be right in our own stories. Through compassion, I found not only a bridge, but also an expansion of my heart's capacity to love more deeply. I realized that real victory lies not in winning an argument, but in nurturing relationships that allow us to grow together, hand in hand, heart to heart. As we navigate our interactions, it may prove helpful to pause before speaking, to consider what lies beyond the need to be right. In those calm moments of reflection, we might find the courage to embrace understanding over victory. Each time we choose to listen, we take a meaningful step toward connection and the warmth of shared experiences that can lighten the emotional cost of needing to win. Arguments as a form of resistance to change. Understanding how conflict arises from fear of losing our sense of self often brings to light the deep-rooted emotions that anchor our identities. Each argument we engage in, each sharp exchange of words, reveals an underlying thread of vulnerability. It is the fear of change that raises its head like an unwelcome guest, threatening the very foundations we've built throughout our lives. When faced with the potential of transformation, we often cling to the familiar, to the known, like sailors grasping at driftwood in a stormy sea. Our sense of self, carefully constructed over years, entwines with our beliefs, values, and experiences. Disagreement arises not merely from differing opinions, but from the defense of our identity, a primal reflex that seeks to protect what we have come to define as us. In this tangled web of thought and feeling, understanding the root causes can illuminate pathways to connection instead of division. Encouraging open dialogue that fosters growth and mutual understanding requires an intentional act of bravery. It calls for a willingness to listen, to be curious about perspectives that differ from our own. In these moments of shared vulnerability, we have the opportunity to strip away the layers of misunderstanding that often cloak our interactions. Rather than casting our arguments as weapons, we can approach them as invitations, a chance to explore the richness of human experience. When we speak with intention and openness, we invite others to share their truths, creating a safe space where insight can flourish. Through this process, we can dismantle the walls of fear and distrust, allowing the light of mutual respect to seep in. The art of conversation becomes a healing balm as we learn to navigate our differences, recognizing that each voice adds a unique color to the tapestry of our collective existence. In embracing this journey toward understanding, we should remember that every discussion, even the most charged ones, can serve as an opportunity for growth. Practicality often resides in simplicity. Practicing empathy during challenging conversations can shift the dynamic from conflict to cooperation. Approach each argument not as a battle to win, but as a shared exploration to embark upon. By fostering an atmosphere where everyone's perspective is valued, we can transcend our fear of change and begin to build bridges, leading to richer dialogues and deeper connections. Listening not only to respond, but to understand can serve as the compass guiding us through the fog of chaos, illuminating paths toward a more harmonious existence. Listening without preparing a defense. Active listening is a gift we give to others, a bridge that connects our hearts and minds. When I truly listen, I step beyond myself and immerse in the world unfolding before me. I focus on the rhythm of their voice, the nuances of their words, and the emotions that dance in their eyes. This act of listening is not about waiting for my turn to speak or to formulate a sharp retort. Rather, it's about being present, letting the moment flow. In the silence between their words, I find depth, an unspoken connection that binds us, making the distance between us dissolve like morning mist. Each sigh, each pause, is an invitation to understand more profoundly, as well as to forge a bond that may lead to enlightenment. By engaging in this deep listening, I cultivate relationships that are rich and fulfilling, where my presence alone can quite literally change the course of the conversation. Cultivating openness requires a surrendering of my instinctual need to respond immediately. This quiet resilience invites me to shift my focus toward the speaker's heart, absorbing their perspective without the urgent desire to defend my own. I remind myself that my thoughts and feelings do not diminish by allowing another to share their own. Instead, they expand, interweaving with the pulse of their truth. When I take a step back and let go of my defenses, I create a fertile ground for understanding. In this sacred space, compassion blossoms like wildflowers across a sunlit meadow. It is in this openness that I find liberation, a release from the burdens of judgment and expectation. The words may be imperfect, but they carry the essence of the speaker's journey. To listen with such an open heart, free from the weight of my own preparations, is to embrace life in its most authentic form, allowing each conversation to be a lantern guiding us through the shadows of misunderstanding. If I remember to approach conversations as vessels for connection rather than battlegrounds for opinions, I open myself to a world rich in shared experiences. Each time I choose to listen without preparing a defense, I foster an environment where truth can be spoken and felt. I learn not only about others, but also about myself. This practice is a simple yet profound way to inhabit relationships deeply, to cultivate empathy, and to grow. Every time I engage in this dance of openness, I am reminded that the art of listening is not only about hearing words, but also about celebrating the delicate tapestry of human experience. In this way, I can take steps toward building understanding with those around me, paving the way for deeper, more meaningful connections. Freedom from the burden of proving. True freedom awakens when I stop seeking validation from the world around me. I remember moments when the opinions of others wrapped around me like a heavy cloak, suffocating my spirit. The clamoring for approval led me to chase accolades that felt like sand slipping through my fingers. In those times, I mistakenly believed that my worth was defined by the praises I received or the judgments cast upon me. Yet, as I journeyed deeper into self-reflection, a gentle whisper of truth emerged. Real liberation comes from within. It blooms in quiet acceptance of who I am, stripped of all masks. I learned to embrace my flaws and celebrate my uniqueness, understanding that my value is inherent, not contingent upon external commendations. This shift in perspective transformed my existence into a more peaceful and authentic experience. Encouraging this transformation nudged me towards a life dictated less by the rush of ego-driven desires and more by the stillness of my inner soul. I began to notice that the relentless pursuit of recognition often led me into a maze of dissatisfaction, while cultivating inner peace illuminated a path filled with joy. I discovered that my motivations could stem from a place of love and compassion rather than competition. Each small step I took away from the societal script allowed me to reconnect with the essence of my being. In the stillness of my heart, I found clarity. It reminded me that true strength lies in embracing vulnerability and authenticity. By focusing on nurturing my inner landscape, I find solace in my existence, aware that my journey is uniquely mine, and there is beauty in forging my own path. As I reflect on this journey, I realize that the freedom from proving myself is an ongoing process of inner work, an act of self-kindness. I choose to practice this each day, reminding myself that my worth is not measured by accolades or the approval of others. Instead, I find joy in simply being present, in experiencing life with a heart wide open. By nurturing the connection to myself, I cultivate a garden of peace within, flourishing regardless of external circumstances. An essential tip I hold dear is to embrace moments of silence and solitude, where the echoes of self-doubt fade away, and instead, I hear the gentle affirmation of my own heart. In self-acceptance lies the key to liberation, where I can finally breathe fully, free from the burden of proving. Chapter 13. Letting Go of Roles and Masks. When who you are becomes buried under who you're supposed to be. There are moments when I feel adrift, caught in the currents of expectations, navigating the turbulent waters of who I am versus who the world insists I should be. The weight of roles assigned to me, daughter, friend, employee, press heavy on my soul, like a cloak made of iron. I can almost hear the whispers of society, each one urging me to mold myself into shapes that feel foreign, uncomfortable. They beckon me to conform, to fit within lines drawn by others, and it leaves me yearning for a breath of authenticity that feels tantalizingly out of reach. It is in this disconnect that I find the deepest of aches. The truth within is often drowned out by the cacophony of societal norms, silenced by the fear of not measuring up or belonging. I wonder, who would I be if I peeled back these layers? What dreams linger just beyond the horizon of expectation, waiting to be embraced? In these moments of introspection, I ponder the profound chasm that exists when our true selves become shrouded in roles that seldom align with our authentic spirit. Authenticity arises from the profound freedom of embracing who we truly are, from the liberating sensation of unmasking ourselves before the world. There is a beauty in vulnerability, a quiet strength in bravely revealing the complex tapestry of our lives. I have learned that personal fulfillment is inextricably linked to this authenticity. It whispers to me in the quiet spaces between thoughts, urging me to acknowledge my fears while inviting me to dance to the rhythm of my own heartbeat. The art of being true to oneself beckons like an ancient song, reminding me that happiness cannot be found in a facade, but rather in the gentle acceptance of all that I am, flaws, contradictions, and all. To live authentically is to stand firmly in my truth, to express my passions and desires unapologetically. It is here, in this space of acknowledgement, that I find joy, that I reclaim my power, and that I discover the very essence of who I am meant to be. Every day offers a chance to strip away the pretense and return to the core of our existence. By embracing the truth of our identities, we plant seeds of fulfillment that can blossom into vibrant, meaningful lives. Take a moment to reflect on your own existence. What aspects of your life are driven by the need to conform? What dreams have been silenced by the weight of expectation? Allow yourself to breathe, to feel, and ultimately to break free from the confines of who you think you should be. Authenticity is a journey, not a destination, and each small step toward revealing your true self can indeed illuminate the path toward a more fulfilling existence. In pursuing what resonates within you, you not only honor your own spirit, but inspire others to do the same. With each act of bravery, the world becomes a little more vibrant, a little more genuine, a beautiful tapestry woven with the threads of our collective truths. The exhaustion of performance. Living in a world that often demands perfection can feel like walking through a maze, each turn leading to another expectation, another mask to wear. Day after day, I don these facades, smoothing over my true self, aiming to fit into the molds shaped by society, peers, and even family. There is a palpable exhaustion that comes with this performance, a weariness that settles deep in my bones. It's as if I have become an actor playing a role on a never-ending stage, every smile painted on, every laugh rehearsed. Rare moments for authenticity are drowned out, muffled by the din of what others expect me to be. Each mask I wore was crafted from the heavy fabric of obligation, the threads woven tightly to fit the contours of others' desires. In the quiet moments, when I sit with myself, I can feel the weight of these layers, each one dampened by the tears uncried, the dreams unpursued. I often wonder, what is it that compels us to camouflage our true essence? the fear of judgment, the craving for acceptance. These shadows creep in, shaping our choices, pushing us further into a corner where being ourselves feels like the scariest option. The exhaustion is not only physical but deeply emotional, a draining cycle that often leaves me feeling hollow. It is into that emptiness that I began to seek solace, yearning for a breath of fresh air in the suffocating environment of performance. In the journey toward reclaiming my true self, I discovered that the bravest act of all is to shed those masks and stand, bare and vulnerable, before the scrutiny of the world. It is a slow unfolding, like a flower revealing its petals in the morning sun, welcoming warmth instead of shying away from it. There is a strange relief that washes over me as I let go of the pretense, exhaling deeply, feeling the tension release from my shoulders. I remember the first time I spoke my truth without hesitation. It felt like an awakening, like waking from a long, restless sleep into a world alive with possibility. Choosing to show up as my authentic self invites others to do the same. In that space, I find connection, truly genuine connection that transcends superficial exchanges. We share our stories, our fears, and our joys, weaving a tapestry of realness that feels comforting and invigorating. No longer chained by the expectations of what I should be, I embrace just being. This liberation does not mean discarding the intricate layers of who I am, but rather allowing those layers to intertwine harmoniously with my core self. It is a constant process, a breath-by-breath commitment to authenticity. To anyone who feels the weight of performance pressing down, know that there is life beyond the masks. Begin a simple practice. Take a moment each day to reflect on a part of yourself you wish to embrace, no matter how small. In that awareness, you may just begin to glimpse the beauty that comes from being unapologetically you. Reclaiming your soul beneath the surface. Each of us carries a story, vibrant and intricate, woven deeply with the threads of our experiences. Beneath the layers of expectations and societal roles lies a radiant core, waiting to be rediscovered. I invite you to embark on a journey of self-exploration, where we peel back the burdens of our identities, revealing the essence of who we genuinely are. This is not just a quest for understanding. It is a heartfelt embrace of our true selves. Through quiet reflection and gentle inquiry into our desires and fears, we begin to see glimpses of the soul that has been overshadowed by life's chaos. We can start this process by asking ourselves profound questions. What truly brings me joy? What dreams have I silenced? It is in the stillness that we can hear the whispers of our hearts, urging us to honor our own existence beyond the masks we wear. Reclaiming ourselves is no small endeavor. It is a journey rich with challenges and rewards. Acknowledging that we are worthy of this journey is vital. It takes courage to step away from the safe confines of our roles and venture into the unknown. Each step we take brings us closer to reclaiming our spirit, igniting a fire within that has long been dimmed. There are no shortcuts on this path. Instead, we must learn to navigate our shadows and embrace the lessons they hold. Understanding that this journey may ebb and flow, like the tides, allows us to find peace in the process. Every moment spent in pursuit of our authentic selves is a testament to our resilience and desire for liberation. This inward pilgrimage enriches our lives and radiates outward, transforming our relationships and the world around us, inviting others to join in the dance of self-discovery. As we walk this path, let us remember that our soul's reclamation is not only personal but also collective. Each time we uncover a piece of ourselves, we inspire others to do the same. Allow yourself to be gently cradled by the wisdom you uncover. Breathe deeply, embrace your journey, and trust that every step draws you closer to the radiant essence of who you are meant to be. Consider keeping a journal as you move forward, capturing your reflections and emotions. Writing can be a compass, guiding you deeper into the places of your heart where the most profound truths reside. The joy of becoming unrecognizable, even to yourself. Transformation is like the soft unfolding of a flower. It can be subtle yet profound. Each day, in small ways, we step away from the shadows of who we were and move toward the brilliant light of who we are becoming. There is a grace in this journey that often goes unnoticed. The whispers of change ripple through our lives as we shed old beliefs, allowing the essence of our true selves to emerge. It's an exquisite act of reclamation, a recognition of the beauty that lies deep within us, waiting patiently to be unveiled. As we embrace this evolution, we begin to celebrate the changes with open hearts. We learn to revel in the unexpected. The laughter that comes easily, the courage found in vulnerability, the wisdom blossoming from experiences once deemed painful. Each moment of authenticity is a brushstroke on the canvas of our life. We become artists of our own existence, painting vibrant truths that resonate with the fullest expression of who we are. To become unrecognizable is to stand at the intersection of growth and possibility, where every facet of our existence sings in alignment with our spirit. Shedding old identities can feel daunting, like standing alone on the precipice of a new dawn. However, there is an undeniable liberation that awaits those willing to leap. Each identity we let go of carries a piece of our past, a memory of who we were, yet it also paves the way for renewal. Letting go is an act of courage, often accompanied by a sense of loss. But within that space, there is an invitation to explore uncharted territories of the self. In nurturing this journey, it is essential to take a moment each day to reflect on your transformation. Acknowledge the old parts that have served you and the new contours you're defining in your life. This reflective practice can be a source of grounding and clarity, allowing you to embrace the beautiful evolution unfolding within you. Chapter 14. Letting go of what isn't yours. Carrying others' emotions, expectations, energy. There is an unseen weight we often carry, the emotional burden of absorbing the energies and expectations of those around us. It creeps in softly, like the morning light, before we even realize it has settled into our bones. I find myself walking through daily life with the echoes of others' voices whispering through my mind, their joys and sorrows painting the canvas of my heart in shades that don't belong to me. It feels as if I am a vessel, overflowing with feelings too vast to call my own. This absorption can transform into an ache, dulling my spirit, fogging my thoughts, and blurring the beautiful contours of my essence. I feel their laughter, their heartbreak, hanging in the air around me, as if I were a kite tethered to the ground by invisible strings of emotional attachment. Recognizing this burden marks the first step in reclaiming my own narrative amidst the cacophony of others' emotions. Encouraging emotional sovereignty becomes a sacred act, a private revolution where I pull back the layers and reach for the core of myself, rediscovering who I am beneath all that weight. It invites me into a gentle practice of self-awareness and self-compassion. The process feels like shedding an old skin, raw but liberating. Every breath becomes a declaration of my autonomy, a reminder that my feelings are valid and worthy. I learned to cultivate a practice of emotional hygiene, understanding when to listen with my heart and when to protect my spirit with the sturdy walls of boundaries. Returning to self means honoring my own emotional landscape, giving space to my own needs and desires instead of merely reacting to the demands of the world around me. This journey back to my essence is not always smooth. It is as much a winding path as it is a tranquil stream, but each step is danced on the rhythm of my truth. In this dance of emotional sovereignty, I find a profound freedom. I carry the love and light I choose to embrace and leave behind the burdens that no longer serve me. I am learning that it is not selfish to prioritize my own emotional well-being. In fact, it is an essential act of self-love. I begin to flow with the energy that nourishes my spirit while gently setting down those energies that weigh me down. Cultivating a clear understanding of my emotional boundaries offers both comfort and liberation. The practical step I take today is simple. I will take a moment for myself, breathe deeply, and let my own feelings swell. With space for my truth, I carve an oasis within, where I no longer carry the expectations and emotions of others unless I choose to do so willingly. This is my liberation, a gentle reminder that I am enough, and my path is my own. The emotional labor of being the strong one. Being labeled as the strong one often feels like wearing a cloak made of heavy fabric, one that shrouds me with the promise of unwavering support and endless resilience. Yet, beneath its weight, there exists an unspoken exhaustion. The expectations of strength are insidious. They seep into every interaction, whispered in moments of doubt, spoken aloud when others turn to me in their time of need. People rely on my strength, often mistaking it for a bottomless well, unaware that it's a tender flower needing sunlight and rain just like them. Each time I suppress a feeling, grief, anxiety, sadness, I can feel the petals fall one by one. The invisible toll surfaces in quiet moments, when I stand alone, wondering who is there to help me carry my burdens. In the shadows, I discovered a paradox. The very act of embracing my vulnerability can lead to a profound sense of liberation. It isn't that I cast aside the mantle of strength. Instead, I redefine it, allowing myself to acknowledge my own needs. Sharing my struggles with trusted hearts transforms the narrative from one of solitude to a shared journey. I find courage in revealing the cracks in my facade, for in those cracks, the light pours through. Vulnerability is not a weakness. It is the soil from which authentic connections bloom. When I brave the courage to unveil my true self, I invite others to witness the truth of their own experiences, creating a tapestry woven with shared stories and mutual understanding. Instead of trying to shoulder the weight of the world, I drop the burden to the floor and reach out my hand. In this act of surrender, I discover that strength isn't about carrying it all. It's about being honest and allowing others to light the way. To embrace your journey of strength, allow yourself to lean on those you trust. Speak your truth and let others share in your struggles. You may find that in showing vulnerability, you cultivate deeper relationships and open pathways to healing. The liberation found in this honesty will not only lighten your load, but enrich your spirit as well. Learning to return what doesn't belong to you. In the quiet moments, I find myself reflecting on the weight we carry. Every thought, every emotion can often feel like an anchor, dragging me deeper into waters that do not belong to me. Encouraging mindful awareness of what is truly ours and what belongs to others is a journey worth taking. It starts with the recognition of feelings and beliefs that echo not from our hearts, but from the expectations placed upon us by those around us. I close my eyes and breathe, traversing the landscape of my mind, sifting through the clutter, realizing which burdens belong to me and which have been lovingly or unknowingly handed to me to carry. In this awareness, I learn to sift, gently separating grief from empathy, obligation from love, and anger from understanding. It is in this sifting that the beauty of clarity emerges, allowing me to reclaim the parts of me that have been overshadowed by others' demands. Here, I plant the seeds of self-discovery and nurture them with the light of intentional thought. Fostering healthy emotional boundaries to reclaim personal peace is an essential act of self-kindness. Love, I have learned, does not demand the sacrifice of my spirit nor the erasure of my identity to flourish. With each instance I reclaim my energy, I draw a line not of separation but of respect, for myself and for others. A conversation becomes lighter when I recognize the stories that are not mine to tell, the worries that are not mine to bear. I start to practice saying no without guilt, allowing space for my own needs without resentment toward those who wish to encroach. Fostering these boundaries is not an act of war against the world. It is an act of profound love for oneself. With each boundary I place, whether it's a gentle reminder to myself or a firm message to others, I find a fluttering peace, a liberation that ripples throughout my existence. I learn that it is okay to step back, to refuse the burdens meant for someone else, and gently release what does not bring me joy. By understanding the delicate dance between the self and others, I cultivate a garden of emotional wellness. Each time I let go of an emotion or expectation that does not belong to me, I make room for authenticity and growth. Gratitude blooms where self-respect is watered. I encourage myself to practice, not just in ideas but in actions, through mindfulness and reflection, through saying yes to my own needs and no to what drains my spirit. I remember that peace is not a destination but a practice, an everyday act of surrendering what was never mine to begin with. Detachment as an act of love. Letting go often evokes feelings of sadness and loss, but sometimes it can be an act deeply rooted in love. When I reflect on moments in my life that required me to set something free, I realize these moments were not simply about relinquishing ties, but rather about honoring what once was. Love manifests in various forms. Sometimes, true love means understanding that holding on tightly can lead to pain and suffocation. The impulse to let go emerges not from a place of indifference, but from the recognition that growth and transformation are necessary. In allowing someone to leave, I was often allowing them to blossom in a way I could not nurture. I was granting them the freedom to chase their own dreams while, paradoxically, loving them more deeply than ever. True connection remains, even in absence, as the memories of shared laughter and whispered secrets linger like the softest echoes in my heart. Detachment can feel daunting, yet it is a crucial step towards nurturing our emotional health. It reminds me of the gentle act of pruning. A gardener knows that in order for a plant to flourish, some branches must be trimmed away. Similarly, I have learned that I cannot grow fully when I am chained to the weight of unmet expectations or toxic connections. Embracing detachment means releasing the fear that accompanies change, allowing the space for joy and serenity to blossom. In practicing detachment, I find myself creating boundaries that serve not only to protect my heart, but to invite healthier interactions into my life. I have discovered that self-love often requires this quiet act of letting loose the grip, giving myself permission to breathe deeply, to wander, and to discover my own path. When I treat my emotional well-being with the care it deserves, I am enveloping myself in compassion and understanding, not just for myself, but for others I have chosen to step back from. In navigating the delicate balance of love and letting go, it is essential to remember that true love does not anchor us to sadness, but rather frees us to embrace possibilities. Learning to let go enriches our souls and illuminates the pathway to emotional wellness, serving as a gentle reminder that some of the most profound relationships can exist without proximity. Practicing mindfulness and remaining connected to my inner voice allows me to honor both my feelings and the affection I hold for others while creating the space for growth and healing. Keeping a journal to express my thoughts on love and loss has also become an invaluable tool, guiding me through the complexities of emotional detachment with grace and clarity. Chapter 15. Letting Go of the Outcome. Obsessing over how things should end. I often find myself ensnared in the same mental web, caught in a relentless loop of thoughts about how things are supposed to end. It's as if an invisible hand tightly grips my mind, shackling my spirit with expectations that feel almost tangible. I picture the shining finish line, the seemingly perfect outcome, and in that fixation, I sometimes forget the beauty of the road beneath my feet. Each step taken is a lesson, a story etched into the soil of my experiences, but my gaze is often trained ahead, overlooking the intricate tapestry of moments that decorate the path. The pressure to achieve a specifically envisioned result creates a weight in my chest, and in pursuit of that goal, I sacrifice the simple joys that arise in the middle of it all. The mental traps of this fixation narrow my perspective, blinding me to the richness that exists when I allow myself to embrace uncertainty, where the most profound transformations can blossom unnoticed. The practice of being present and letting go of rigid expectations is transformative. I have learned that when I pause to breathe and appreciate the unfolding of life, I invite joy into my reality. It's not merely about reaching a destination, but savoring the deep richness of each experience along the way. So the next time I feel that familiar pull toward the horizon of my goals, I gently remind myself, I am a traveler, not just to a point, but through a magnificent landscape filled with possibilities. Releasing attachment to reward, validation, or closure. There was a time when I believed that the shimmering lights of external validation could illuminate the darkest corners of my being. I chased accolades, applause, and the fleeting joy of recognition like a moth drawn to an alluring flame. Each commendation felt like a sweet nectar, offering temporary satisfaction yet leaving a deep, aching void within me once the applause faded. It was an empty carousel, spinning incessantly, yet going nowhere. I began to realize that seeking approval from others was like trying to fill a bottomless pit with fleeting words and empty gestures. The hollowness of that pursuit was stifling. It not only overshadowed my authentic self, but also chained me to an endless cycle of seeking. I learned that the quest for external validation is often a mirage, promising fulfillment yet delivering a deepened sense of discontent. Standing amidst accolades, I felt more alone than ever, highlighting the profound emptiness of depending on others to fill my soul. In this journey of self-discovery, I came to cherish the beauty of intrinsic motivation. It began gently, as a whisper in the quiet moments, an invitation to look within rather than seeking outside. The realization that my worth could be sourced from my passions, my efforts, and my dreams illuminated my path. I learned to find joy in the act of creation itself, to revel in the process rather than dwell on the outcome. This shift was liberating. I began to feel grounded in my essence, flowing with a sense of purpose and self-acceptance. As I leaned into intrinsic motivation, fulfillment blossomed from the inside out. Each step I took was now laden with meaning, guided by my own heart's compass rather than the fickle winds of external approval. In nurturing this internal garden, I discovered a wealth of joy that no applause could ever replicate, a quiet confidence that thrived in the absence of validation. Embracing this internal truth, I learned the art of closure as well. Instead of waiting for resolutions handed down by others, I began to find my own endings, my own sense of completion. I understood that closure is a personal right. It arises not from external circumstances, but from an internal dialogue of acceptance. By releasing the need for others to validate my journey or to provide eventual answers, I unearthed a profound peace within myself. The reassurance I sought in the eyes of others transformed into a nourishing self-love that spoke louder than any external echo. I found clarity in defining my path, gaining the strength to move forward with or without resolution. This shift cultivated an inner resilience that blossomed with every experience, teaching me that my essence doesn't hinge on closure or validation from others, but is a flame that burns brightly from within. Embracing this intrinsic truth unlocks the doors to boundless, genuine fulfillment. Loving the process, even when it feels unfinished. There is an undeniable allure in the midst of an endeavor, a constant ebb and flow that whispers secrets to those willing to listen. In our quest for completion, we often overlook the richness hidden in every step we take, every stumble and stride. I find myself captivated by the way a journey unfurls, much like the petals of a flower that bloom in stages, each one a testament to the patience and resilience required for growth. It's within this unfolding that I discover the essence of creation. The messy drafts of a painting, the half-written verses of a poem, the unfinished symphony. All these fragments tell stories of struggle, passion, and evolution. They remind me that the beauty of the process lies not in reaching a predetermined endpoint, but in celebrating the moments of uncertainty, the breath of potential lingering in the air. In the quiet spaces of creation, I realize the importance of being present. There's a sacredness in the act of simply allowing things to be as they are, without the pressure of perfection looming overhead. Each moment spent immersed in my journey, the laughter, the setbacks, the breakthroughs, paints a vibrant tapestry of experiences that is uniquely mine. I've learned to embrace the pauses, those times when nothing seems to happen, yet everything is transforming. Breathing in the stillness brings clarity, grounding me in the here and now. I begin to appreciate the imperfection around me, recognizing that every unfinished stroke, every trial, adds depth to the narrative of my life. The music of my being plays on, filling the spaces with rhythms not defined by completion, but by presence. To love the process is to honor each fleeting moment, to let the heart guide the way through uncharted waters. It is in these moments that I find freedom, and the reminder that every stage of the journey is worthy of celebration. As I navigate these interconnected experiences, I hold on to one liberating truth. The path itself is where the magic resides. By letting go of the need for closure, I open myself to a world rich with possibilities. I'm learning to dance with uncertainty, realizing that each step I take, with all its imperfections, is a vital part of my story. In nurturing this awareness, I cultivate gratitude for the process. And within that gratitude lies a deep understanding that life is not a race to an end, but a beautiful, unfolding narrative waiting to be embraced with open arms. Replacing expectation with intention. When I reflect on my journey, I realize how often I clung to rigid expectations, as if they were the ropes that held my dreams aloft. These expectations, shaped by society, by others, by my own insecurities, often felt like chains rather than wings. Over time, I began to understand that these expectations are merely illusions, constructs of a mind that craves certainty in an ever-changing world. The switch to fluid intentions allowed me to release the grip of those chains. I learned to set my sights on what I truly desired, an expression of my authentic self rather than a fulfillment of externally imposed standards. This shift felt liberating and invigorating. It was as if I was taking a deep breath after being submerged underwater, and now the surface was in sight. Intentions became flexible, like the branches of a willow tree that sway and bend with the wind, yet remain rooted in the earth. Embracing this fluidity, I discovered a path where I could ebb and flow, adjusting my sails as I moved onward, open to the experiences and lessons that would inform my way. The beauty of intention lies in its adaptability, shaped by the heart and not confined by fear or rigidity. In the heart of this transformation lies a gentle invitation to approach life from a place of deep connection and authenticity. I began to feel that when I centered my endeavors in my heart rather than my head, I opened up to a form of fulfillment that transcended mere achievement. I learned to listen to the whispers of my soul, to acknowledge what my heart truly desires. This heart-centered approach ushered in a profound clarity, an inner knowing that guided my actions. Rather than performing for applause or validation, each step became a dance of authenticity, allowing me to show up as my true self. The pause for reflection became sacred, a time to connect with my intentions. I would sit quietly, feel the rhythm of my heartbeat, and ponder the resonances of my desires. In those moments, I felt a vastness within me, a space that welcomed all forms of possibilities. When I allowed my intentions to unfold from this place, I became more aligned with what truly mattered, sowing seeds of genuine fulfillment that flourished into the tapestry of my life. The journey from expectation to intention is not merely about letting go. It's about embracing the essence of who we are. It reminds me to pause and ask, what do I truly want? Instead of what should I want? This subtle yet profound reframing invites us to see life as a canvas of endless colors and textures. Each intention crafted from the heart fills that canvas, allowing it to evolve and transform. It's as if we're painting with the palette of our deepest truths, rather than merely replicating patterns we've inherited or observed. As you embark on this journey, remember that the path is yours to shape. Trust in your heart's wisdom. Let your intentions soar freely, revealing pathways not yet imagined. Practice embracing flexibility in your desires, allowing for spontaneity and change, and delighting in the mystery of the journey itself. Tune into your heartbeat, your breath, and the world around you, and you may find that within the fabric of intention lies a life of authenticity, fulfillment, and profound joy. Chapter 16. Letting Go of Resistance. Resistance as a trauma reflex. Understanding how past traumas shape our instinct to resist change is a journey into the depths of our hearts and minds. I remember the moments when I felt the weight of my past pressing down on me, a heavy fog that clouded my ability to embrace new opportunities. Each scar tells a story, a reminder of battles fought and lost, shaping a reflex that urges me to cling to the familiar. Change feels like standing at the edge of a vast ocean, the waves of uncertainty crashing at my feet, pulling me back to the shore of what I know. It's as if the memories whisper, "Stay here, it's safer," even when a part of me longs to swim into the unknown, to discover new shores. This instinct springs from experiences that have left me shaken, and in the aftermath, my mind constructed walls to protect me. Yet, within those walls, I often find stagnation, and I yearn for the courage to break free. Recognizing the healing power of acknowledging this reflex brings a gentle light into the hidden corners of my soul. It is in this acceptance that I find liberation. I learn that it's okay to feel hesitant, to resist, for it is merely a part of the tapestry of my experience. When I take the time to sit quietly with my fears, listening to their stories instead of running from them, I open a doorway to healing. Each acknowledgement becomes a thread that weaves a new understanding, transforming my resistance into a gentle guide rather than a harsh guard. The act of recognition softens the edges of my heart, allowing me to envision the change I seek with a sense of curiosity rather than dread. I embrace the reflex not as a barrier but as a signal, an invitation to explore the roots of my fear, to peel back the layers and reveal the light that lies beneath. As I move forward, I carry with me the knowledge that healing is not a straight path. It is a winding road filled with moments of pause and realization. By honoring my resistance and understanding its origins, I grant myself permission to grow. I give myself the grace to stumble, to recommit when I falter. This journey teaches me that within each moment of resistance lies the potential for transformation. By leaning into vulnerability, I can find strength, opening myself to change with a heart that has been prepared, seasoned by past experiences, yet eager to embrace the future. The next time I feel the tug of resistance, I will remember to pause, to breathe, and to honor both my fears and my aspirations. With every step forward, I reclaim my power, weaving a narrative that celebrates change, resilience, and the beauty of the journey itself. Why we fight what we fear. Fear can feel like a storm brewing inside us, chaotic and wild, as we instinctively brace ourselves against its powerful winds. In these moments, I find myself battling an unseen enemy, my heart racing with each pulse of anxiety. We often forget that fear is not always the foe. It can also be a messenger, a gentle nudge toward understanding and growth. Instead of embracing its fragile presence, we confront it with hostility, raising walls that keep us from its truth. Each shudder of dread pulls me deeper into a struggle, convincing me to fight rather than to listen. I notice that the more I wrestle with this fierce shadow, the more entrenched it becomes within me. I long to learn the art of surrender, to breathe into the folds of fear rather than clash against them. As I sit quietly with my apprehensions, I discover the healing power of gentleness toward what frightens me. Fear, much like a child in need of comfort, softens when met with compassion rather than aggression. It reveals its stories, its roots woven into experiences of love, loss, or uncertainty. I become aware of how fear holds space for those parts of me that feel inadequate or abandoned. Embracing this vulnerability, I begin to integrate these fractured pieces into a fuller, wholer self. Each moment spent listening transforms our relationship, making fear a partner in my journey rather than an adversary in my life. As I navigate these labyrinths of emotion, I find liberation in understanding that fear can coexist with courage. Instead of suffocating under its weight, I learn to hold space for its presence while still moving forward. A practical tip for welcoming this practice into your life is to set aside a quiet moment each day. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and invite your fears to the surface. Acknowledge them, listen to their whispers, and allow them to exist without judgment. In this space, you may find profound insights waiting to be discovered, leading you to a newfound sense of harmony with the very fears that once dictated your life. Allowing without collapsing. There lies an immense strength in surrendering, a quiet power that whispers through the chaos of our lives. When I contemplate the idea of allowing, it often feels like standing at the edge of a cliff, the abyss below stirring both fear and freedom within. To relinquish a grip that feels so familiar, to let go of what I believed I controlled. This is not weakness, nor a sign of giving up. Instead, it is a courageous return to self, a delicate dance of trust with the universe. I remember moments where I clung desperately to my plans, each failed attempt weaving a tapestry of frustration. Yet, in the moments I chose to simply breathe and allow, clarity emerged. It is the heart that teaches us that in letting go, we actually find ourselves anew. There is a deep sense of peace that envelopes me when I acknowledge the currents of life without resistance, an understanding that I am not defined by the turbulence around me, but by my ability to stay rooted in who I truly am. Acceptance does not imply resignation. Rather, it is the fertile soil from which resilience blooms. In embracing where I am, even the parts that feel uncomfortable or daunting, I discover an untamed strength. I recall times when the weight of grief or disappointment threatened to pull me into darkness. Instead of fighting against these feelings, I allowed myself to feel them fully, to let them wash over me. In this surrender, I found an unexpected sanctuary, a deeper connection with my own humanity. I began to see acceptance as a bridge, not a barrier. It connects me to my experiences without allowing them to define my path. With each challenge faced, I grow taller as my roots deepen. Each act of acceptance becomes an affirmation of my resilience, building a foundation of strength that stands even amid storms. By holding space for my reality, I transform pain into a canvas of possibilities, where empowerment emerges from understanding and compassion. Consider the power of simply allowing yourself to exist in the fullness of your experience without veiling it with resistance. As you navigate your own journey, take moments to pause, inhale deeply, and acknowledge the sensations of existence. This practice of acceptance can become your refuge, fostering resilience in the face of life's inevitable turns. Allow yourself to be human, to feel, and in this sacred space, discover the strength that always resides within you. Meeting life as it is, not how it should be. Life often unfolds in ways we never anticipated, filled with twists and turns that challenge our notions of certainty and control. Embracing this unpredictability requires a grounded perspective, one that welcomes each moment for what it is rather than how we think it ought to be. Every surprise, every deviation from our plans, is an invitation to see life through a broader lens. Instead of clinging to preconceived notions of success or happiness, we can choose to disentangle ourselves from rigid expectations. This act of letting go creates space for joy to bloom in the midst of chaos. I have learned to stand firm like a tree in the storm, roots deep in the soil of reality, branches swaying with the winds of change. In this way, I can appreciate the beauty of the unpredictable, the spontaneous laughter, the unexpected encounters, the lessons hidden within challenges. Adaptability becomes a quiet strength as we journey through life. Instead of viewing change as a threat, we can learn to see it as an opportunity. Life asks us to bend, to twist, and sometimes to break, but in this flexibility lies resilience. I remember times when plans crumbled before my eyes, an anticipated adventure washed away by rain, a dream job slipping through my fingers. In those moments of disappointment, I discovered my ability to shift course. Each setback, painted in shades of frustration and sorrow, served as a canvas for growth. I began to realize that what really matters is not the events themselves, but how we respond to them. Adaptability is like learning to dance. We learn the steps, but the music changes, and we must flow with it, drawing from the deep well of our inner strength. It liberates us from rigid frameworks and allows us to create our own rhythm, no matter the circumstances. Finding peace in this acceptance frees us to engage with life fully, without the fear of failure looming over us. The next time you feel frustrated by how things are, pause and breathe. Notice the beauty of the moment and how you can respond differently. Consider asking yourself what you can learn from this unexpected turn of events rather than focusing on the discomfort it brings. Often, it is in the unwelcomed interruptions that we encounter profound wisdom. If we become skilled at this practice of acceptance and adaptability, we open ourselves up not just to resilience but also to the magic of living authentically. Life is not merely what we plan or how it should be. It is a beautiful, sometimes messy tapestry of experiences that beckon us to dance along with them. Chapter 17. Letting Go of Shame. Shame is the stick we beat ourselves with. Shame often clings to us like a shadow, an insidious weight shaping our self-image and distorting the lens through which we view the world. Each moment spent tethered to the shame of our perceived imperfections pulls us deeper into a pit of isolation. When I look in the mirror, I see not just my reflection, but also the scars of inadequacy, the inner critic whispering harsh judgments that drown out the softer voices of self-compassion. Every misstep feels magnified, every blemish exaggerated in the harsh light of shame. It affects how we relate to ourselves and others. We build walls to keep people at a distance, fearing that exposure will invite rejection. The laughter shared is overshadowed by secrets kept, as we guard what we perceive as flaws within us. Such internal dialogues poison our connections, leading us to retreat into the corners of our minds where self-loathing festers. Yet, in recognizing the powerful grip of shame, we can also unveil its antidote, self-acceptance. Embracing our authentic selves becomes an act of rebellion against the script shame has written for us. When I finally dared to unearth the tender parts of my spirit, I discovered a light that gently outshined the darkness of my perceived failures. I learned to acknowledge my humanity with its beautiful imperfections, allowing the sweet embrace of forgiveness to soften the edges of my self-judgment. This self-acceptance isn't an endgame. It's a journey, a gentle unlocking of the doors I had barred so tightly. Each step worth taking on the path of self-love weakens shame's hold, revealing the clarity that comes with understanding we are enough, just as we are. In this acceptance lies a warmth that enables us to connect more deeply with others, shedding the masks we once felt compelled to wear. Moving forward, we can carry this lightness within us as a source of liberation. Take time each day to acknowledge and celebrate your worthiness. Speak to yourself as you would to a dear friend. Soften those harsh critiques into gentle affirmations. Allow yourself to feel joy without guilt or reservation. Every moment of self-acceptance diminishes shame's influence, carving space for love, connection, and true happiness to bloom. Let this practice be a gentle reminder that the stick of shame does not define us. Rather, it's the courage to love ourselves that sets us free. The belief that we must punish ourselves to be good. I used to wear my pain like a badge of honor, believing that each scar marked a moment of hard-earned wisdom. The idea that suffering cultivates strength has been etched into the fabric of our existence, reminding us that hardship must precede joy. Yet, I found myself trapped in an endless loop, convinced that the more I struggled, the more deserving I became of love and success. Every misstep or setback felt like a necessary penance, reinforcing a belief that happiness was only for those who had paid their dues in suffering. In this relentless pursuit of merit through misery, I began to realize that I was distorting my intrinsic value. Suffering does not alone cultivate growth. It can also build a fortress around the heart, an anchor that keeps us tethered to wounds we do not need to carry. As I peeled back layers of self-imposed punishment, I discovered that the essence of worthiness isn't found in the depth of our struggles, but rather in the lightness of being that comes from acceptance and understanding. In the gentle embrace of self-compassion, I found a refuge that had long eluded me. It dawned on me that I did not need to crush myself under the weight of my expectations to feel good or to be good. Instead, I could be generous to myself, allowing for mistakes without labeling them as failures. This reframe transformed my understanding of goodness from a harsh taskmaster into a nurturing friend. I learned to speak to myself with kindness, offering gentle words in moments of vulnerability, celebrating rather than punishing my flaws. Self-compassion is not a slippery slope to complacency. Rather, it is a sturdy bridge to true awakening. The moment I allowed myself to exist without the burden of inadequacy, I felt a profound liberation. This tender practice began to bleed into every aspect of my life, inviting others to show me their true selves, untouched by the weight of suffering. As I embraced this journey, I understood that goodness is more about how we treat ourselves than how we endure our challenges. The act of loving oneself opens up pathways to love others, creating a rich tapestry of connection woven through grace and understanding. Nurturing self-compassion can be as simple as starting each day by acknowledging your own humanity, repeating affirmations that remind you of your inherent worth. In moments of struggle, treat yourself as you would a dear friend. Extend love and understanding rather than judgment. This small shift is a powerful step toward redefining how we relate to ourselves and the world around us. Shame cannot survive exposure. Shame often whispers in the darkness, a quiet force that holds us captive in a cage of our own making. When we keep our shame locked away, it thrives, mutating into a monstrous shadow that warps our sense of self. Yet, when we bring shame into the light, its power begins to dissipate. I have come to understand that sharing the raw truth of our struggles can be the most profound act of liberation. When we voice our uncomfortable feelings and experiences, we begin to unravel the tight grip that shame has on our hearts. Each spoken word acts as a key that unlocks a door, allowing the air of acceptance to flow in. As I have shared my own stories, I noticed how others too felt the freedom to lay their burdens down. Together, we cultivate an atmosphere of shared humanity, reshaping our understanding of pain and vulnerability. In this light, we realize that we are not alone, and the very act of speaking our truths diminishes the isolation that shame once imposed. Vulnerability feels like standing at the edge of a vast abyss, but it is also where true connection awaits. Allowing ourselves to be seen in all our messy glory is a radical act of courage. I have learned that this sacred vulnerability has the remarkable ability to dismantle shame's fortress brick by brick. It invites a deeper conversation about who we are, laying the groundwork for empathy and understanding. Sharing the parts of ourselves that we hide away can feel terrifying, yet it is precisely this act that connects us. Each time I step into that space of openness, I find that another person follows suit, allowing for a graceful exchange of honesty and authenticity. As we share our stories, we create a tapestry woven with the threads of our shared experiences, illustrating that our struggles make us human, not broken. Embracing vulnerability means recognizing that flaws and imperfections do not define us. Rather, they add richness to our narrative. In this recognition lies the power to transform shame's grip into a force that fosters community, compassion, and healing. Whenever doubt creeps in, remember this. By exposing our vulnerabilities, we not only liberate ourselves, but we create pathways for others to do the same. Every story told in the light transforms shame into wisdom, reminding us all that we are beautifully imperfect beings, deserving of love and acceptance. You are already worthy, not once you heal, but now. Worthiness wraps around us like a gentle embrace, inherent and unyielding. I find solace in the understanding that we are deserving of love and respect, not because we've reached some ideal state of being, but simply because we exist. Healing is a journey, not a destination. It is tempting to chase the notion that only through our wounds mended and our scars faded can we finally claim our worth. Yet, even in our brokenness, we are whole. Each flaw, each imperfection tells a story of survival, of resilience. I have learned that my worth does not hinge on the completion of my healing, but flourishes in the very act of embracing my pain. I breathe deeply and remind myself, I am enough just as I am in this moment of uncertainty and vulnerability. In this breath, in this heartbeat, I celebrate the present. It is a sacred space where every version of myself can coexist, the joyful and the sorrowful, the healed and the healing. There is a magic in embracing who we are right now, not overshadowed by what we wish to be. I can feel the richness of life all around me, the quiet beauty embedded in fleeting seconds. I take a moment to acknowledge my existence in this very instant. Here, I can dance with my shadows and let my light shine unfiltered. Even amidst chaos, I find the strength to love myself fiercely and wholeheartedly. The present moment is where I gather all the fragments of my being and recognize the brilliance of simply being alive, just as I am, worthy and free to express my true self. Take a moment to check in with yourself. Feel the ground beneath your feet, the air flowing through your lungs, and the heartbeat that reminds you are alive. Allow yourself to sit with all parts of you, even the ones that feel unworthy or unresolved. This practice of acknowledgement can be a powerful reminder that your value is not dictated by your state of healing, but is inherent and unchanging. Embrace each moment as a canvas upon which your worth is painted, vibrant and full of potential, just waiting for you to celebrate it. Chapter 18. Letting Go of the Healing Timeline. There is no linear path. Healing is often a journey marked by its unpredictability, ebbing and flowing like the tides. There are days when the path feels clear, when light streams through the canopy of our struggles, illuminating the way forward. Yet, there are also moments when shadows loom large, casting uncertainty over our every step. I've learned that it's in these seemingly chaotic shifts that our growth resides. The heart aches and rejoices tirelessly, and each feeling plays a vital role in the mosaic of our healing. Acknowledging that healing isn't a straight line brings a sense of solace. It allows me to breathe a little deeper as I navigate through my ups and downs, knowing that both are essential to my journey. Understanding that our healing pathways are uniquely ours creates a profound sense of freedom. No two souls walk the same terrain, just as no two journeys mirror each other. I have stumbled upon a realization. My scars tell stories of resilience, while your journey weaves its own beautiful fabric. Each twist and turn brings a lesson, polishing our spirits like stones smoothed by a gentle river, reminding us that it's perfectly okay to stray off the beaten path. Embracing the individuality of our healing allows us the grace to accept where we are, celebrating each step as a testament to our distinct journeys. What matters is not how quickly we reach our destination, but rather the richness of our experiences along the way. When navigating this winding road, it is important to cultivate patience and self-compassion. There is liberation in letting go of expectations, allowing ourselves the freedom to feel every emotion fully, recognizing that the struggles shaped who we are just as much as the victories. If I have learned anything, it is that growth doesn't follow a timetable. Be gentle with yourself on your path. When the road becomes rocky, take the time to pause, reflect, and simply breathe. Trust in the process, for even in the most winding paths, the journey is where the true healing unfolds. Why urgency is often trauma in disguise. Urgency often creeps into our lives uninvited, whispering demands that we need to hurry, to fix, to heal. This sensation of urgency can shadow our thoughts like an old ghost, rooted deep within unresolved traumas. When I reflect on my own journey, I realize how fiercely I've chased after the notion of quick healing, often mistaking my frantic pace for progress. The pressure to heal quickly can stem from various sources: societal expectations, familial beliefs, or our own inner critic that screams we should be over it by now. Yet, these frantic feelings often mask something deeper. Beneath the surface of this rush lies a painful story, unresolved and yearning to be acknowledged. It's as though urgency is a friend pretending to help while all along, it only adds weight to our already burdened hearts. Encouraging a paced approach toward healing requires a gentle but firm shift in perspective. I have learned that real progress is not linear and certainly not quick. It's messy, often chaotic, laden with tears and laughter intertwined. Embracing this truth has been liberating. Each step taken at my own natural pace has become a brush stroke on the canvas of my life, contributing to a richer, fuller picture of healing. A soothing balm unfolds when we acknowledge the need to slow down, to listen to the cadence of our own heartbeats. Allowing ourselves this grace reshapes our journey, transforming it from a race against time into a sacred pilgrimage towards self-awareness and acceptance. Healing is not a sprint but a slow dance, a delicate waltz where we learn to cherish each moment, each breath, and each flicker of hope for what lies ahead. As you navigate your own healing path, practicing small moments of stillness can be powerful. Set aside a few minutes each day to simply breathe, to sit in silence, and to observe your thoughts without judgment. This simple act can help you tune into the rhythm of your own healing, revealing the whispers of your heart that urge you to slow down and nurture that inner child still grappling with the past. Remember, healing is not about urgency. It's about honoring your journey with compassion and patience. You're not behind. You're becoming. There is a pervasive fear that blankets our lives, whispering insidious lies about being behind in the grand tapestry of existence. This notion, crafted by societal standards, often manifests in moments of quiet desperation, where the comparisons we draw to the lives of others become sharp like the edge of glass. I once found myself caught in this web, straining against the invisible threads woven by expectations of how and when healing should unfold. It is a voice that shouts that time is slipping away, that benchmarks must be met, and that value is tied to swift accomplishments. But every part of me has come to understand the profound truth beneath it all. I am not lost in this timeline. I am simply becoming, piece by piece, moment by moment. This journey is not so much about racing against the clock or competing with others. It is about the layers of life that continuously unfold, the gentle process of transformation that is both a dance and a pilgrimage. Each step I take in the dark, unsure of where it leads, becomes a testament to courage and authenticity. It is in these unhurried explorations that I discover the raw beauty of my experience, the valleys of sorrow and the peaks of joy melding together in a harmonious song of being. To choose to celebrate my own pace is to honor the solitude of my unique path. Every scar, every moment of doubt, every flicker of hope contributes to the rich tapestry of who I am becoming. Within this understanding lies a liberating invitation to celebrate the ongoing journey of unfolding. Like a flower reaching for the sun, we do not bloom on command. Instead, we grow in cycles, echoing the rhythms of nature, embracing the seasons of both struggle and triumph. The essence of becoming is found in the small, seemingly mundane moments. The slow sip of morning coffee, the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze, and the quiet reflections at the end of a long day. These are the nourishing threads that weave together the fabric of our stories. Allow yourself time to breathe, to pause, to be present. In the act of simply being, healing becomes a natural process. Remember, it is not about catching up or fitting into predefined molds. It is about the unfolding of your own unique narrative, which is vividly rich and entirely yours. Take a breath, notice where you are, and let that realization illuminate the beauty present in your own becoming. Let healing take the time it needs. Healing is not a race. It is a gentle river flowing through the landscape of our lives. I have often found myself yearning for quicker resolutions, wishing that pain would dissipate as swiftly as a passing storm. But in those quiet moments of reflection, I have learned that true healing unfolds in its own time. Each bruise and scar tells a story, a narrative woven with threads of patience and gentleness. I have discovered that if I allow myself to feel, to experience each emotion with grace, healing will arrive, like the dawn breaking through the shadows. Embracing patience means acknowledging the process. As I have journeyed through my struggles, I recognize that forcing change merely delays it. Growth needs space to breathe, and we must offer ourselves that space. It's okay to take things slowly, to tend to our wounds with the utmost care, for healing happens in whispers, not shouts. True growth is like a garden. I have planted seeds of change in my heart, knowing that with the right nurturing, they will bloom in their own time. Every moment spent languishing in the soil of self-reflection fosters roots that are strong and enduring. I remind myself that growth can be messy, lacking the poetic symmetry I sometimes envision. Days of doubt and hesitation can feel overwhelming, but they are vital to building resilience and understanding. Nature reminds us that seasons come and go. Each one helps shape the tapestry of our existence. I take solace in knowing that just as a tree stretches skyward at its own pace, each of us carries our own rhythm of growth. I pause to honor the process, the small victories, the quiet breakthroughs, and the lessons learned through adversity. To embrace the beauty of healing, I practice the art of surrender. I allow myself to trust in the journey, to believe that time is a gentle companion guiding me home. When I feel the urge to rush, I remember that the most precious transformations take time. In my moments of doubt, I anchor myself with gratitude, grounding me in the present instead of the uncertainty of tomorrow. As I cultivate the soil of my soul, I become aware of the delicate balance between cultivating ambitions and allowing patience to thrive. Healing, I've learned, is a journey made richer by understanding that it does not come with a timeline. In nurturing this awareness, I find liberation in knowing that my growth is uniquely mine, unfolding as it needs to, beautifully imperfect. Chapter 19. Letting go as a practice, not a destination. You will forget. You will hold on again. That's okay. The journey of letting go is like watching the tide come and go, an ebb and flow that holds no final destination. There are days when I feel anchored, firmly convinced that I've released the weight of memories that once seemed to cling to my very essence. Yet, just like waves tugging at the shore, I am reminded that such moments of liberation are often followed by a pull back into nostalgia. I grasp tightly to the truth that it's perfectly normal to drift between forgetting and remembering, between liberation and confinement. Each time I slip into the depths of reminiscence, I learn more about the roots of my attachment and the nature of my heart's silent ache. It's a cycle, an ongoing rhythm of growth that speaks to the complexity of healing. Letting go does not mean forgetting completely. It means embracing a new relationship with what was, allowing each season of my life to unfurl in its own time. In my pursuit of emotional freedom, I have discovered that it can be helpful to journal my feelings. Putting words on paper acts as a friend, guiding me through the complexities of my thoughts and emotions. It offers a sanctuary where I can breathe, reflect, and witness my evolution as I embrace the cyclical nature of memory and forgetting. Letting go is not something you do, it's something you live. Letting go is not a singular act, but a gentle thread woven into the fabric of our daily existence. Every breath I take seems to whisper the truth that the past cannot clutch me too tightly. As I navigate my days, I see that it is the tiny moments where I practice release that form the foundation of a more liberated self. The memories that once felt heavy can transform into gentle echoes, reminding me of lessons learned rather than burdens carried. I find myself learning to let go of expectations, those heavy cloaks that weigh down my spirit, blinding me from the beauty of what is unfolding in the present moment. Letting go means allowing myself to breathe deeper, to feel lighter, to recognize that my journey is not shackled by what was, but free with the promise of what can be. Life, with all its twists and turns, teaches me the art of fluidity. There is a current, a rhythm that flows through every experience, inviting me to surrender rather than resist. As I embrace this truth, I discover that release becomes a natural cadence, guiding me like the tide that ebbs and flows. Each moment is an invitation to release what no longer serves me, whether it be outdated beliefs, hurtful relationships, or dreams that no longer align with my present. In this dance of surrender, I learn to gracefully navigate the waves of change, understanding that each wave brings new opportunities, fresh breaths of existence filled with possibility. I find comfort in knowing that letting go can be as effortless as a leaf falling from a tree, trusting that it will find its place in the world without clinging. The act of letting go transforms into a soulful rhythm, reminding me that in every letting go, there is also a space created for new beginnings. Embracing this journey of letting go allows me to live more fully. By making release a part of my daily practice, I cultivate the freedom to be present, to savor each moment, to seek joy in the now. I hold close the understanding that true liberation lies not in pushing away the past, but in welcoming the fluid dance of life with open arms. Perhaps today, I can take a moment to pause, to listen to the whispers of my heart, and simply let go of one small thing, trusting that in this act of release, I am opening the door to what is meant for me. Each moment is a chance to release what's heavy. Every moment glimmers with the promise of possibility. We carry weights, some perceptible, some cloaked in mist, that shape our very being. Recognizing that each heartbeat can be an act of conscious release is the first step to encountering the lightness we often seek. As the minutes and seconds slip through our fingers, they offer us a quiet invitation to let go of burdens that do not serve us. There is freedom in acknowledging the heaviness, in allowing ourselves to feel its weight, and then, gently, with grace, to set it down. Like a leaf unfurling to the sun after a long, shadowed winter, we can embrace the beauty of shedding what no longer belongs in our lives. The act of release is expansive. It opens us to new experiences, new feelings, and new paths waiting to be discovered. Mindfulness becomes our ally in this journey. When we cultivate awareness, each moment becomes a canvas where we can choose to paint something lighter. It could be as simple as breathing deeply and imagining the tension flowing out with every exhale, or as profound as confronting long-held beliefs that weigh us down like an anchor in stormy seas. Choosing lightness calls for a deliberate and gentle connection to the present. It invites us to pause, to reflect, and to reassess what we hold within. Every decision to shift our focus from heaviness to lightness nurtures our spirit, reminding us that joy exists in the spaces between our struggles. By anchoring ourselves in the now, we unlock a doorway to serenity where burdens dissolve and hope takes root. As you navigate through the complexities of daily life, remember that freedom resides in the choices you make. Carry the understanding that every moment is not just a continuation of time, but a precious opportunity to release and renew. Be intentional in your moments of stillness, for therein lies the magic of transformation. Allow yourself the grace to let go, to revel in the lightness that comes from conscious release. This liberation is not merely a fleeting sensation. It solidifies into the very fabric of your being, reminding you that with each breath, you are continually invited to create space for the joy, the ease, and the radiance that you truly deserve. The beauty of holding nothing and finding everything. There is a subtle beauty in the act of letting go, a freedom that emerges when we release our grip on what we believe we need. I have often found that the weight of attachment becomes burdensome, chaining us to past regrets, relationships, or things that no longer serve us. In moments of stillness, when I silence the clamoring voices of desire and expectation, I discover a profound joy, a lightness of being that feels almost otherworldly. It is here, in this tranquil space, that I connect with the essence of who I am beyond what I possess. The space created by relinquishing attachment is a sacred ground for new experiences to blossom, each moment inviting us to embrace the unknown with open hearts. Emptiness, often viewed with trepidation, resembles a vast canvas waiting for colors to be splashed upon it. I have learned to nurture a hunger for emptiness, to see it not as a void, but as a fertile ground for dreams and aspirations to grow. When the clutter of material possessions and emotional baggage is cleared away, we inherently create a sanctuary for possibility. With every discarded memory, every unneeded item, I find that I am inviting the universe to fill me with new stories, fresh adventures, and relationships that resonate with my authentic self. It is in this dance with emptiness that I have begun to understand the limitless nature of existence. The realization that what I thought I lacked was merely a misperception, and that true abundance lies in our capacity to experience life fully, unrestrained by the fear of loss. To truly grasp the beauty of holding nothing, consider letting go of one thing that no longer serves you. It could be a material object or an emotional burden. Observe the space it creates and recognize the opportunities that arise in that newfound freedom. Final chapter: the art of holding nothing. You don't have to fix, force, or figure it all out. Embracing the idea that life unfolds in its own time without the need for control feels like a gentle release. I often catch myself frantically trying to manipulate moments, wrenching reality into what I believe it should be. Yet, in the quiet spaces, I find solace in the simple truth that life has its own rhythm, a melody that dances beyond my grasp. The sun rises and falls, flowers blossom and fade, with each moment unfolding naturally, like pages of a beloved book turning unbidden. Herein lies the beauty. When I stop reaching for control, I open up to the unexpected gifts life has to offer. It becomes easier to breathe, to take a step back and appreciate the whirlwind not as chaos, but as a canvas painted with potential. Finding comfort in the journey instead of striving for perfection has transformed my perspective. Each step, however small, becomes a part of the rich tapestry of experiences I weave daily. The pursuit of perfection often feels like chasing shadows, elusive and fleeting. Rather than fixating on an ideal that seems to shimmer just out of reach, I learn to revel in the small victories, the stumbling attempts, and yes, even the missteps that shape me into who I am. I start to see the beauty in imperfections, where the cracks let the light pour through, illuminating the path before me. This journey, unruly and unpredictable, becomes a treasure trove of lessons that mold my spirit, urging me to embrace the moment rather than resent its imperfections. Each moment is an invitation to dance with life's uncertainties, allowing me to savor both the sweetness and the bitterness of my experiences. Every breath, every heartbeat matters, teaching me to cherish not just the destination, but the unfolding journey itself. In these realizations, I find freedom, the liberating knowledge that I don't have to fix, force, or figure it all out. Every once in a while, pause and breathe. Take a moment to simply sit with what is present. Let go of the need to have everything figured out. In the stillness, you may discover that the answers you seek are found not in striving, but in being. There is peace in not grasping. In the quiet moments when I pause to reflect, I notice how life's beauty unfolds when I choose to release my grip on what I believe I need to hold onto. There is a profound calmness in letting go, as though a weight melts away from my shoulders. When I find myself clutching at experiences, outcomes, or even relationships, the tension within me stirs, a stark contrast to the serenity that envelopes me when I practice non-attachment. It is fascinating how our minds can spin tales of necessity, as if grasping onto things somehow solidifies them. But in truth, it often binds us tighter in chains of worry and fear. Embracing uncertainty becomes an invitation to breathe, to explore, and to feel life's essence without the burden of expectation. A shift happens when I realize that peace is found not in what I hold, but in what I allow to flow freely. As I navigate through life with an open heart, I discover an extraordinary joy tucked away in the corners of simple acceptance. There is a liberating beauty in welcoming each moment as it comes, unencumbered by the need for things to be different. With openness blooms a rich tapestry woven from the threads of experience. Each joy and sorrow, each twist and turn, enriches my journey when I embrace them without resistance. Celebrating life in its entirety, with all its imperfections, awakens a sense of belonging within myself and with the world around me. I find that when I allow myself to feel fully, whether it's the laughter shared with a friend or the stillness found in solitude, my spirit dances freely. The quiet joy of acceptance weaves itself into my daily existence, whispering reassurance that I am enough, just as I am. It guides me to cherish the present without clinging to the fleeting past or chasing an elusive future, reminding me that the beauty of life lies in simply being. Consider taking a moment each day to practice letting go, whether it's a small worry or a lingering attachment. Notice how it feels in your body to release that grip, allowing serenity to seep into the spaces once occupied by anxiety. This gentle practice can become a pathway to deeper peace and joy. There is lightness in release. Recognizing the buoyancy that comes when we let go of burdens and expectations opens up a world of possibilities. I have often wandered through my thoughts, heavy with the weight of unspoken worries, unmet expectations, and the relentless push of life's demands. When I finally chiseled away at those burdens, an unexpected lightness accompanied my release. It was as if I had been carrying a sack of stones, each one representing a fear or a should, and upon dropping them, I found myself lifting off the ground, gravity losing its grip. I learned that release is not just about abandonment. It's about understanding the freedom that comes with unshackling the heart. In those moments, I felt my spirit rise, buoyed by the absence of weight that once tethered me to self-imposed limits. Inviting you to revel in the newfound freedom of emotional lightness feels like sharing a secret, a whisper of the heart. As the burdens dissolve, there's an exhilarating sense of space within us, an invitation to breathe deeper and to laugh without reservation. Emotions that once felt like a heavy fog begin to dissipate, revealing clarity and joy. I remember the first time I truly let go, surrendering to the embrace of acceptance, and it was like stepping into sunlight after a stormy night. I invite you to bathe in this lightness, to dance unencumbered, to let joy come easily. Embrace the gentle wisdom that follows release. Cherish the soft whispers of hope that blossom in its wake. Embrace the practice of letting go, for it is a journey that unfolds with each breath you take. Take a moment to sit quietly, close your eyes, and envision what you need to release. With every exhale, picture the weight lifting, your heart opening, inviting a fresh perspective into your life. This simple exercise cultivates a habit of lightness, a gentle reminder that freedom is always within reach. When your hands are empty, your soul is full. In moments of release, when the weight of the world slips through my fingers, I feel an unexpected lightness settle within. Letting go has often felt like standing on the precipice of loss, but each time I take that leap, I awaken to a profound truth. Emptiness is not the end of something, it is the beginning of everything. The holes in my grasp, once perceived as voids, reveal the canvas upon which new dreams may unfurl. I have learned that what departs from my hands makes space for the labyrinth of possibilities and connections that life abundantly offers. The power of relinquishing is a rebellion against the cult of possession, a recognition that my worth is not in what I clutch, but in the richness of experiences that seep into my being. As I breathe, a fullness envelopes my spirit, awakening with each moment I choose to embrace life's wonders. It is in the gentle acceptance of transience that I discover joy hidden in simplicity, a child's laughter drifting on the wind, the golden hues of a sunset melting into the horizon, the warm embrace of a loved one. Letting go invites a fresh perspective, where every fleeting moment becomes an echo of beauty and wonder. I am learning to savor the gift of the present, to unshackle my heart from the burden of expectation. When I allow myself to wander, with hands open and heart attuned, I uncover a sanctuary of serenity that surrounds me, and in that space, my soul begins to sing. This liberation from the chains of attachment fills me with a quiet strength, reminding me that life, in all its impermanence, is a grand tapestry woven from love, laughter, and light. To cultivate this sense of fullness, I invite stillness into my life, allowing me to listen to what the universe whispers. I start with small acts, releasing a grudge, a fear, or a well-worn habit. Each act of letting go becomes a celebration of love for what was, and a hopeful embrace of what is yet to come. With practice, I discover that the journey of relinquishing transforms not just my perspective on loss, but the essence of my existence. Every empty moment is now an invitation to fill my life with sacred experiences, vibrantly colored by curiosity and wonder. The more I let flow through my open palms, the richer my soul becomes, echoing the wisdom that sometimes, to truly possess life, we must be willing to first release our hold. It turns out peace isn't something you find. It's what's left when you stop grasping. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to earn the right to rest. You don't have to prove your worth by holding the world together. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is let go of the fight. The fight to be understood. The fight to be right. The fight to be everything for everyone. And in that quiet moment, when your hands finally open and your breath softens, you'll feel it. The space. The lightness. The truth. Letting go isn't a loss. It's an opening. A returning to the self beneath the stories. The self that never needed to grasp so tightly. The self that was always whole. When you hold nothing, you're finally free to hold everything that truly belongs to you. Presence. Peace. Purpose. This is not the end of your letting go. It's simply the part where you stop waiting for closure and start becoming the closure. It's where you stop reaching and start receiving. It's where the noise fades and what remains is enough. The art of holding nothing isn't about detachment from life. It's about engaging with life without chains. This is your beginning. Welcome to the freedom you didn't know was waiting.